Hello, guys, and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin. I am joined as ever by Mr. Matt Turner. And Matt Turner, buckle in, good sir, because it is going to be a hell of a long episode. Pay-per-views, new bloods, news. We finally have a field for the Goddess Stardom Tag League. There's a lot to chat about on this episode. How are you, and are you ready? Are you ready?
Dun dun. I think you know what you do, but dun dun. Think you know what you're talking about? Dun dun. Yeah, man, I'm okay. Just a quick little side note for anybody. I'm coming up with a little bit of a cold. So if you guys see me go this way on YouTube, that's just me blowing my nose. So I did it quite a bit when I recorded yesterday with Talk Joshi with one Andy Header, and I realized that every time I kept going off camera, I kind of looked like I was Al Pacino in that final scene in Scarface. I promise you that's not what happened. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Yes.
I really wish that's what you were doing. Imagine how white. If you think he's positive now.
Yeah, woo! We're going up the rails on the crazy train. No, brother, but other than that, I'm fantastic. Again, we finally got the teams announced for Tag League, and then one of them got taken away and replaced with a mystery team that nobody's ever heard of before. What are we doing, Stardom? But man, I'm excited to talk about some great wrestling. The pay-per-view Crimson Nightmare was terrific, especially those last three matches. You know, top to bottom, just a really solid card. We have the main event confirmed for Sumo Hall, and if that was enough, we have the real main event for the Tokyo Dome. No disrespect to Hiroshi Tanahashi and whoever his final opponent's going to be, but a lot of great stuff going in. Again, yes, we finally have the teams announced for Tag League, and now I realize why it took them so long to confirm the teams because of injuries and who they could and couldn't get. I get it. Sometimes wrestling could be a little tricky. By the time this episode drops, Rob, we'll be pretty much starting night one of the Tag League because we have night one, night two, and night three this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So not a better way to start my weekend than some tag team action from Stardom. But I'm super excited, Rob Goodwin. Now, the question is for you. Are you excited and are you ready? Dun, dun.
I mean, I feel like it's impossible not to be hyped up after that. Yeah, obviously, some interesting teams for the tag league. Obviously, some big omissions, which we'll be talking about as well. Obviously, FWC pulled from the tag league, replaced with these two absolute nobodies from Mexico. So again, no idea what's happening there. Obviously, we know it's FWC under masks, but even so, we're going to talk about that very, very shortly. By Wrestle Kingdom, I assume you mean double title dash the extravaganza, because apparently just every match is going to be for two titles. That is apparently just what Wrestle Kingdom is this year. But yes, that is going to be a good match, a very, very good match. I'm excited for that. I hope that obviously this means that we are uniting the two titles and we can finally get rid of the New Japan Strong Women's title, because as we've said on this podcast, doesn't really serve a purpose now, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, lots of great things to talk about, lots of good stuff coming out of the pay-per-view, lots of interesting discussion as well to be had about the pay-per-view and reception to it as well. Some good points made by people, and I think that's going to be a good place for discussion. In-ring action, I thought was great. Throughout the show, I thought Bozilla and Saki did a great job with what they were given. I thought Masaru and Hazuki was tremendous. I thought Konami and Starlight Kid, I wasn't sure whether they would better their Cinderella tournament match because I thought that was really, really good, but they did. And then, of course, Momo and Saya, considering that Momo was basically wrestling on one leg, I feel like that surpassed expectations as well. And we'll talk, obviously, about the post-match and things like that. I know there are some people unhappy with the booking of that, and I know there's some valid criticism, I think, as well. But ultimately, we come out of this with a great story going into Dream Queendom for the red belt. We come out of it with a really, really, really tasty singles matchup for Wrestle Kingdom, where I'm sure they'll be given 3.5 minutes in high speed style. And yeah, lots and lots to talk about. Like I said, we've got 3 shows to talk about. We're going to be talking about New Blood. We're going to be talking about Chiba. And then, of course, we're going to be talking about Crimson Nightmare. We're also going to preview a little bit for the Tag League, go through all of that news. Matt Turner, it's going to be a ridiculously long podcast, making up for the just over an hour that we recorded for the Marigold Standard. But before we get into any of that good, sir, tell the lovely listeners at home what is coming up on the Patreon this week.
Real quick, for you 10 people that were upset with the booking of the end of the show, don't worry, Uncle MT is going to make you feel better. I'm here to soothe all of your pains, folks. That's what I do. That's what I do. But Rob Goodwin on the Patreon this week, we're going to be talking about professional wrestling. How about that? We're going to be
How
talking
about that?
Yes, professional wrestling. Now, the alternate commentary. Boy, I tell you what, sometimes I get lucky at the timing on this one. I found a
I know.
rare match with Saya Kamitani versus Syuri from the 2021 Goddess of Stardom Tag League. Just a random singles match on a random house show. And it was just kind of funny because it was like Saya Kamitani won the 2021 Cinderella tournament. Syuri won the 2021 5-star Grand Prix, and they just have a random singles match in the middle of the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. So that was really funny. And then we dropped that, and a couple days later, no, it was that the same day we dropped it is when they announced the big match for Wrestle Kingdom. I was like, well, how about that? So that is on your feed already for alternate commentary. Rob Goodwin on your feed this week in roundtable discussion. Myself and Andy Header, we talk about our personal top 10 favorite all-time Stardom finishing moves, basically in the history of the company. So we have some really great ones in there. Not only that, not to spoil it, but just to kind of leave you on the hook. Andy Header gives the name of the finisher. You know, the one that you get real quiet. You get really close to the microphone.
Ooh.
Yes. I don't know if he's ever said it before. Then you got to pay for that privilege. It's behind a paywall. It's behind a paywall.
Yeah. I mean, Andy Header talking like that. I mean, I feel like that has to be behind a paywall.
Yeah, absolutely. I paid for it. It's kind of it's my show. So that's how great it was. So that's what's on your feed this past weekend. That's what's this past week. That's what's coming on this weekend. Next week, more than likely, the alternate commentary. Rob Goodwin is. I'm going to go back to Flashing Champions last year. A really great tag match that doesn't get talked about enough. Eye Contact. Mayu Utani and Hanan taking on the best friends of Arisa Nakajima and Fujimoto. So I haven't seen that match in quite some time. So more than likely, I'm going to go back and call that action. And then I only have one match left to do for the homework. So more than likely, it'll be on your feed in the next week or so. Soriano's entire run as the Wonder of Stardom champion. So as I always say, so much great stuff on there this week. So much great stuff coming on this weekend. So much great stuff coming on next weekend. And if that doesn't satisfy you, go back into the vault and watch the alternate commentaries, the roundtable discussions, the watch-alongs. There's a lot of really, really great content that we've been putting up on there for the last 3.5 years, and a lot more to come for near pennies. Rob Goodwin, pennies, which, by the way, pennies are going away in the United States in 2026. But pennies on the day get you all this great content on the Stardom Cast Extra.
Are they really?
Yes, they're going to be extinct, very much like animals, like in Jurassic Park, which, we have to talk about that. I text you this. So now, as you know, I go to the gym really early in the mornings, and only
obscenely early.
Yes, I mean they're usually between 4:30 and 4:45. So you're only a nut job if you go to get your workout in that early. So you basically you're with all the other nut jobs, and I mean that in the best way possible. So I always see this one girl. I don't know her name. I always walk in and say hello. She says hi back. You know, I'm a polite guy, Rob Goodwin. I'm a
absolutely
polite guy, man of the people. So I get in there and I start stretching. She walks in the stretch room and she's wearing a Jurassic Park shirt. And I literally stop and I text you. And I was like, This lady's wearing a Jurassic. I see her every day for the last 5 or 6 months at my gym, and she's wearing a Jurassic Park shirt. I'm being taunted, Rob Goodwin. I'm being taunted. You said as well as you should be.
Absolutely.
Well as you should be. So this is a movie I'm definitely going to have to watch.
I still find it baffling that you haven't. I was to the point where I've actually talked to Kirsty about it again today. The fact that we are both absolutely appalled that you have seen the amount of wrestling you have and not seen the classic that is Jurassic Park. But it's fine. We're going to let it go. We're definitely not going to talk about it relentlessly until you've actually watched it. So, yeah.
It was pretty funny because Andy and I were talking. Well, I don't know if it was on Talk Joshi or if it was on the Patreon episode, because we recorded back to back. And we started talking about how I'm being mocked for never seeing Jurassic Park. And he said he saw the one with Chris Pratt. And I said, at any point does he turn into Star-Lord? And we basically booked that movie as if he turns into Star-Lord halfway through. So
Imagine that film. Imagine that film. Anyway, let's start talking about the news. And obviously, one of the huge things coming out of Crimson Nightmare was the fact that we will be having an IWGP Women's and a New Japan Strong Women's Championship double title match at Wrestle Kingdom 20. One of the first matches announced for Wrestle Kingdom 20, alongside the double title match between Takeshita and Yota Tsuji. And of course, with Aaron Wolf making his debut against Evil for the Never Openweight Championship. 4th of January, a featured women's match on the card at Wrestle Kingdom. It feels very right, this match. I'm looking forward to it massively. My only sort of concern, are we getting another short Syuri title reign?
See, I'm the only one that sees that. I'm going to put this down. Like, I'm the only one that thinks Syuri's going to win, and I'm going to explain why.
I hope she does.
Here, I'm going to explain why, because so many people were like, oh, Saya's going to win again. 3 belts, Saya, poor Syuri. She just got this belt back. Like, okay, and when I explain things, I like to tell you why I think this is going to happen. So this way, maybe it connects. Like, try to connect the dots. Syuri's winning this match. This is an easy match to predict. Here's why, Rob Goodwin. There's over 30,000 tickets sold for this show already. We're 2 months out. From what I understand, this is going to be broadcast on one of the big network channels over in Japan, where there's a good possibility that this show is going to be seen by like right around 1 million people. So this arguably, and obviously we'll talk about this when we get closer to this arguably might be the biggest match in Stardom history. Like it because so many people are going to see it. Again, probably close to 4. By the time the doors open on January 4th, probably 40,000 people are going to be in the Tokyo Dome. Now, Rob Goodwin. Again, this is a matchup that we've wanted for a long time. A long time. You go back to 2022, Stardom, in my opinion, the best year in Stardom's history. Syuri was red belt champion. Kamitani was wonder champion. And what a great 1-2 punch they were. Obviously, both of them were baby faces at the time. 2 of the best championship reigns ever in the history of Stardom happening at the same time. And a lot of times when we got done with these pay-per-views, we'd be like, who had the better match? And boy, what would a Syuri versus Saya Kamitani match look like? If you remember, we were supposed to get in the 2023 5-star Grand Prix, but Saya Kamitani got injured on that on the opening night with that match with Tam Nakano. And we never got it. We never got Syuri versus Saya Kamitani. And they teased it a little bit throughout the year. They sprinkled it a little bit throughout the year. And now we're getting it. Finally, we've been waiting 4 years for this match. And now we're getting it literally on the biggest stage possible. Now, I will say I do not think this is going 7, 8, 9 minutes like we've seen before. Now, just to back up, if you remember last year, they gave Mayu and Azumi like 7.5 minutes. But I think we even said if you're only going to give somebody 6 to 8 minutes.
9. I think it was 9 minutes. Yeah.
Well, we did say if you're going to give somebody under like that amount of time, Mayu versus Azumi, Mayu and Azumi, that's the way to go. The Tam versus Kairi, the less said about that, the better. The less said about that, the better.
You really enjoyed that match.
I did, for what it was, for the time that they got. I thought they maximize your minutes. You need to maximize your milliseconds at that point. Even when they did Sai and Tam versus the MK sisters a couple years ago, I think that one like 6.5 minutes, but still they maximized their time. I don't think this is going to go any less than 15 minutes. I really don't, because
I'd be surprised.
One, Syuri and Syuri back at King of Pro Wrestling went about 16 minutes. So it's like, give us the time to tell the story, and this is what we can do. Hold on. Sorry. Not only that, but we're booking this match 2 months in advance. And a press conference. Most importantly, Rob, we're looking at it right now, a match graphic. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. Now, Syuri's winning this match. I will bet a decent amount of money Syuri's winning this match for a few reasons. Again, I'm going to lay out my theory. One, obviously, Syuri just won this belt. 2, it's not for the red belt. It's for the New Japan Strong and the IWGP. Not only that, for the reasons I just mentioned, that there's going to be roughly around 40,000 people in the Tokyo Dome, arguably the biggest match in Stardom's history. The match is going to get time. We know it's going to be great because Kamitani and Syuri are both 2 of the best wrestlers in the world the last 4 years, bar none, regardless of gender and or country. Now, you have to start planning ahead. If they do an all-star Grand Queendom next year, which they're probably going to do, and if they're going to run the Yokohama Arena, which they're probably going to do, What's your big main event that you want to do that 7 to 8,000 people? It's right here in front of you. Syuri's winning this match. She's going to put the two titles together, right? Whether she walks out with both of them or it's just one or whatever, Syuri's winning this match, and then they're going to run it back for the red belt at All-Star Grand Queendom. Stardom has shown that when they do the rematches that make sense, they draw more money time and time again. This match is a commercial for All-Star Grand Queendom. Because again, 40,000 people in the Tokyo Dome, and how many other people watching it, they're gonna be like, wow, this Syuri and Saya Kamitani, they've absolutely tore it up. How can I see this match again? Yokohama Arena. So to me, this is clear as day. Syuri wins this. They run it back for the red belt at All-Star Grand Queendom, and Saya gets her win back. And then they're 1-1, and whenever they want to pull the trigger on the rubber match, they can. But I just think that that's the way that I see it. And to me, that makes perfect business sense.
Saya doesn't need the IWGP Women's Championship, to be perfectly honest. The only thing that I would say is, obviously, there is a lot of money tied up in Saya Kamitani. She was the person announced, 3 months in advance of this show, to the point where they held a press conference to say this woman is going to be on Wrestle Kingdom. Like, that's never happened before. She's obviously a huge commodity. I think Syuri should win. Personally, we've just had that feud with Sari, which I think they pulled the trigger on a little bit too soon. But
Sure.
again, I don't particularly mind that too much. I feel a bit sorry for Sari, if I'm perfectly honest. But again, Syuri was always coming out of that as the champion again. I think that with Syuri's her statement that she wants to wrestle overseas and do more overseas, I think it makes sense for her to be the IWGP Women's Champion. Again, Saya doesn't need that belt. She's doing incredible work as the World of Stardom champion. Look at the attendances. We're already well above the average any other year of in attendances, including 2023, where they ran like 140 shows over the year. We're very close to eclipsing the second highest cumulative attendance of Stardom history, and we've still got Dream Queendom to come as well. So, and all of the stuff coming around the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. So again, it's looking like a phenomenal year, and that's off the back of Saya Kamitani and Tam as well. I feel like that needs to be said as well. It's not just Saya.
Thank you.
That's the only good thing I'm going to say about Tam, though. So,
how dare you say it?
Yeah, I think it makes sense for Syuri to win. I want Syuri to win. However, they may well turn up and say Saya Kamitani is the big money here. Let's put the belt on and let's give her that big statement win at the Tokyo Dome. That might happen. There's no saying that won't happen. However, I do think it is more likely, and it does make more booking sense for Syuri to get them. And we have seen people seem to forget that Saya isn't immortal. She isn't, she takes pinfalls. We saw her in the feud with Natsupoi. She had 3 clean falls on the bounce, I think. She took a clean fall to Azumi, lost to both B and Azumi in the 5-star Grand Prix.
Damn.
She does she took a
Sayaka
load of pins to Sayaka. She got pinned by Sayaka Kurora. Exactly.
She's Ric Flair. Like, honestly, like, she is Ric Flair. Ric Flair, as a heel champion, was able to draw by losing tag matches to guys like Ricky Steamboat and Terry Funk and Eddie Gilbert and Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson and both Road Warriors. And I can go on and on and on. And then when they ran it back for the championship, by hook or by crook, Ric Flair would win. And guess what would happen? That wrestler got over. Ric Flair and the championship got over, and they made money. Folks, it doesn't need to be that difficult. They are literally, and I said this about a month ago, I'm going to say it again. I don't know if Stardom realizes that they're literally just taking Ric Flair from like 84 to 89 and just copy and pasting and putting on Saya Kamitani. I hate to say it because there's a teacher in the room here. Copy an A, get an A.
We call it magpieing, but yeah, sure. Can't call it copying. Look, again, Syuri has a record over Saya. Saya's never beaten Syuri, so that's something else you can put into this, especially if you are going to run it back at All-Star Grand Queendom. If you are looking to do the Yokohama Arena again, which I imagine we will probably get confirmation of at Dream Queendom, I imagine there's one of two matches you do, and one of those is Syuri running this back when Syuri beats her at the Tokyo Dome, and the other is bringing Tam back, which I don't think they'll do. But I do find it very strange that Tam hasn't been on social media for the entirety of the time she has been retired. And there is every chance that she might just want to be off social media because social media is a cesspool. So, it might be nothing. However, could be. Yeah, so that aside, obviously, huge announcement, Syuri versus Saya at Wrestle Kingdom 20.
Yeah, super excited and super excited for that solo Saya Kamitani entrance in the Tokyo Dome, my man. This is huge. This is huge. Again, obviously we always said, how can we never pull the trigger on that big Julia versus Utami singles match? And this was like right there. Like we need that big Saya versus Syuri match, and it's like they're giving it to us at Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah, I'm not particularly caring who wins this match. I just want this. I want for them to have the time to tell their story. Syuri's a great wrestler. Saya's a great wrestler, but they like when you get to that 15, 16, 17, 18-minute mark, their storytelling is absolutely next level. So again, my guess, I don't think this is going to go less than 15 minutes. I think it's going to be closer to the 18 or 19 because they wouldn't have done two different Kamitani press conferences. They wouldn't have done this match, built it up 2 months prior, Rob. So now watch it go 4.5 minutes.
It'll go 4.5 minutes and Saya will win with a roll up. But yeah, I mean, again, my heart tells me that Syuri is winning. There is a business aspect of it that they might say, look, Saya Kamitani is the biggest woman in Japanese wrestling at the moment, one of the best or biggest wrestlers, nationally, certainly. Let's put the title on her. I don't think she needs it. And I do like the fact that she's likened the New Japan Strong Women's title to Tam because it's purple and it's the Tokyo Dome where Tam lost in 4 minutes or whatever it was to Kairi. So for Saya to then lose, there's some quite nice mirroring there. So whether that happens or not, I don't know. Will be the first time these two, by the way, have squared off since that alternate commentary you've got in the can. So yeah, July of 2021 was the first singles match, which Syuri won, and then November 2021. So we are 4 years to the day as we record was their last singles match.
Yeah, and they're both better wrestlers now, especially Kamitani. Syuri was that main eventer. Kamitani really didn't blow up until the end of that year. Now, Rob, when I did that alternate commentary, again, for you fantastic Patreon members, I didn't know what the finish was. Do you by chance know what the finish of that match was?
I do, yeah. Wasn't it a double count out?
Double count out, brother.
Absolutely. Up there with the TLD.
Yeah, you know what? I like the double count on a little more because the TLD that you see more of them, the double count out could happen anytime. The TLD is going to happen at the 15-minute mark or the 20-minute mark. That double count out, my man, it gets you anytime. And out of nowhere, like the Rianne cutter, out of nowhere.
Like the Rianne cutter, exactly. Rianne, who's on an absolute tear at the moment as well, which we'll be talking about. Well, I say a tear. She won one match, but that's by the by.
One in a row.
Moving on then, the main event of Dream Queendom 2025 has also been confirmed. Saya Kamitani will make her 8th defense of the World of Stardom Championship against Syuri Ano. This was confirmed after Crimson Nightmare, where there was that big 3-way standoff between Saya, Syuri, and Syuri Ano, setting up these two matches that we've talked about. With Saya having already dispensed with Tam and sending her into retirement, dispensed with Natsupoi earlier in the year, dispensed with Sayaka Kurora earlier in the year. Syuri Ano stands as the last defender of Cosmic Angels against Saya Kamitani. And we spent quite a long time, actually, last week, Matt, talking about whether Syuri Ano had, whether she was built up enough to be the main event of Dream Queendom. And, I must admit this story makes sense, certainly. I don't think she wins. But I do think it's going to be a very, very, very good match.
Yeah, it was. That match was really great with Saya and Momo. And again, we're going to get into it towards the tail end of this episode. And again, kudos to Walker Stewart, was phenomenal on commentary and then doing the instant translation as well. So when Syuri came out, I was like, oh my God, we're finally getting it. Oh my God. And the only words I understood Syuri was saying was Tokyo Dome. I'm like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden you hear this like rumbling as somebody else is coming down the aisle, and then Walker Stewart goes, wait, somebody else is here. And I'm going, no, I don't care what wrestler is there. Don't ruin this moment with Syuri and Saya Kamitani. I don't care if it's Hazuki. I don't care if it's
Yes,
Arisa
you do, you
Shinki.
liar. If
I
it's
don't.
Hazuki, you'd have lost your
Okay,
mind
you're
if
right.
it
All
was
right, hold on.
Hazuki, you
Hold
liar.
on. Hold on. I don't care if it's Starlight Kid. I don't care if it's Mayu Watani. I don't care if it's Io. Don't ruin this moment with Saya and Syuri. And they pan the camera back. I'm like, oh, it's Soriano. I love Soriano. I'm so excited for this match. I love everything. But it was so funny because we were just we spent like 15 minutes. You asked me, like, it was kind of in the middle of us talking about Soriano. Like, what would happen if Soriano main evented Sumo Hall? I'm like, I'm all for that. I want to see that match. And I was like, well, how about that? We were just talking about that on the podcast. We kind of put that in the ether. So again, I know a lot of people were upset we didn't get the Momo, the big face turn, which I think I know where they're going with that. But at the same time, they gave us two fresh dream matches for Sumo Hall and then a week later for the Tokyo Dome. So I was over the moon. Like, I watched this show live, and I know that you were at work. So I wasn't going to spoil it for you. And then I took a picture and sent it on my phone. Like, are they doing a three-way? I'm like, no, dude, even better. Here's what they're doing. Like, oh my God. Like, they set up the main event for Dream Queendom and the real main event for the Tokyo Dome. No disrespect to to Takeshita or Yota Tsuji, because that match, I'm really excited for that match. That match is going to be great. But I was like, I'm super pumped, like Anu versus Kamitani, which we've never really seen before on this big stage. And again, Syuri and Saya Kamitani, we haven't seen in 4 years, and now we're getting it on the biggest stage possible. So they really lined Kamitani. Kamitani goes and has an absolute great match with Momo Watanabe, and then the next thing you see is like, boom, here's Sumo Hall main event. Boom, here's a big giant match for the Tokyo Dome. Like, you want to talk about like taking advantage of the situation. I thought it was a genius booking decision from Stardom, knowing that like Saya's going to have this really great match with Momo, shocker. And then, hey, we may as well just do it back to back, and gave a lot of people stuff to talk about, which I'm really excited for. I agree. I think this is the first time that we will not be crowning a new champion at Dream Queendom, because obviously Syuri walked out of the first one as champion, Julia the second one as champion, Micah, if you remember her and Suzu at Dream Queendom 3, it was the vacant title, and then last year Saya Kamitani defeated Tam. So I think that I agree. Saya Kamitani is going to walk out as red belt champion. But as I said last week, partner, I think this is going to put Soriano in a new light. The fact that this match is going to be in front of probably around 4,000 people, and she's going to have an absolute, banger with Saya Kamitani. Excuse me. Sorry, folks. I'm trying not to be gross, but I'm trying to get my point across. It's going to put Soriano in another light. Like, her looking at the lights in a 20-plus minute match with Saya Kamitani on the big show at the end of the year is not going to hurt her at all. It's not going to hurt her at all. And before we hit the record button, Rob said something and triggered something in my head. And I said, Rob, I'm going to say something live on air, and this is your fault. So what's going to happen here is obviously Saya Kamitani is going to beat Soriano. And I don't know if any of you remember the ending of WrestleMania 9. So what is then going to happen is that Saya Kamitani is going to be on the microphone. She's going to be talking about how she dispensed all of Cosmic Angels. And then the lights are going to shut off. They're going to come back all purple, and they're going to hear,
oh, for God's sake.
Tam Nakano is going to come and tend to her fellow fallen Cosmic Angel and Soriano. And then, very much like Mr. Fuji did at WrestleMania 9, he's going to say, Saya Kamitani, he's going to say, Tam Nakano, I issue a challenge right here, right now for the championship. And then Tam Nakano is going to beat Saya Kamitani in 2 minutes with the big boot and the leg drop and win back the World of Stardom Championship, Rob Goodwin.
Yeah, I can't imagine how badly that would be received, to be fair. That's just by me.
You're the only one. Obviously, folks, that's not going to happen. Yeah, I think that Kamitani wins, and then I think this is where they pull the Momo angle, because it's in a bigger stage. I think that's where they do it. I think that after this match, something happens with Momo, and maybe, Rob Goodwin, maybe Momo doesn't come alone. Maybe they unmask 2 brand new wrestlers that are debuting at the Goddess of Stardom Tag League, and maybe those 2 people are on Momo's group.
Maybe. I mean, I think that there is credence to what people are saying about the Momo angle, and we'll talk obviously about that at Crimson Nightmare. The match itself was great. I really enjoyed the match. I mean, Saya Kamitani and Momo Watanabe. Momo Watanabe wrestling on 1 leg is better than most wrestlers wrestling on 2 legs. This is going to be very, very good. You're absolutely spot on. I don't think that Syuri loses anything from losing this match. Saya is on the run of a lifetime. I think the chances are that Stardom wants Saya Kamitani to be on a reign that spans to at least All-Star Grand Queendom, at least. Because again, you look at the numbers, you look at the attendances, you look at, the ticket sales, all of these things, all of these metrics, and Saya Kamitani is bringing in huge numbers as, your top champion. She's a top team, she's a featured person on Japanese TV now as well, and is popular and is doing well with that. So I don't see Syuri winning. However, a great match at Ryogoku in the main event in front of 4,000 people is only going to benefit her. In terms of aura offs between these two, goodness gracious me, those two entrances are going to be special. I cannot wait for that. One thing this match has that the Saya and Momo match was sorely lacking is the build. We've got this
7 weeks.
announced. It's over a month away. We have got a long time to build this. We've already had a little bit of a build. Obviously, Saya needling that Syuri, has been sort of a backseat in Cosmic Angels, hasn't really done anything in a time with Stardom. It's up to Syuri to represent Cosmic Angels. You have got time to really, really build on that story and heat this story towards Dream Queendom, which I think was the one big miss for me in the Saya and Momo feud, was that we had very, very little, if any, build whatsoever, to the point where they actually made the lack of build part of the story in the minimal build, which was sort of like, okay.
Comical.
It was very Inception like. It was a build within a build within a build. But yeah, I think this makes sense. Obviously, last week I was very much of, okay, do we think Syuri has what it takes to main event Ryogoku? Didn't think they would pull the trigger straight after Crimson Nightmare. I did think this was going to come later. So I think that's going to be something that really benefits her in terms of aura. And in terms of wrestling ability, of course, she deserves to be there. And I think if they are running that story of her being the last-ditch defender of Cosmic Angels, I think that's a really cool story, something a bit different as well to the other matches in Saya Kamitani's reign. So that's really exciting as well. And again, whatever they put underneath this, we think we might have an inkling as to what the white belt match might be, which we'll talk about Crimson Night when we talk about Crimson Nightmare. Obviously, BMI 2000 will be defending the belts against whoever wins the tag league, which again, we've got our predictions for and we're going to talk about in a second. There's lots of cool things that can go on at Dream Queendom and cap off Stardom's year in style. And just to give you an indication, because I've actually got the spreadsheet open for something different. In terms of last year, Stardom have already outdrawn 2024. So their cumulative attendance last year was 84,032 people. Their cumulative attendance this year in 2025 is 86,000. And that is in 21 less shows. Their current average attendance is 827, which is the highest it's ever been. With the last time they got even close to that was 2022 when they were averaging 793. At the moment, again, the highest cumulative attendance that Stardom have accrued over a year was in 2023 when they drew 97,338 over the course of the year. That was over 140 shows, mind you, which obviously Stardom aren't going to be doing this year. But I have no doubt that they will surpass that, because if you think that they're probably going to get 4,000 at Dream Queendom, you've then got a couple of Corrigan Hall shows in between. You have got an entire tag league as well. I reckon if they don't eclipse 97,000, they are going to be within touching distance of it. And that average attendance, I think, is going to be the highest that they've achieved. And again, you look, I know that there are some people on social media, especially Western fans, who are becoming a little bit disenfranchised with the Saya run and thinking that it's more of a becoming a bit boring, let's say. And I disagree. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. Of
Sure.
course they are. And what me and Matt love isn't going to be what everyone else loves and things like that. And I completely understand that. For me personally, I disagree. I think the Saya run is fantastic. I think she's doing great in-ring work. I think she's elevated a lot of people on the roster. I think the likes of Natsupoi, the likes of Sayaka Kurora, the Tam feud was obviously great. Tam didn't need elevating, obviously. And
that's two nice things you said about Tam, buddy.
I don't know what's up with me. But it's because we're getting close to Christmas, mate.
Rob's gonna have to take a shower after this. Kirsty's like, "What's wrong?" I said two nice things about Tam. We're 35 minutes in.
It just won't come up.
Oh my goodness. Hey, you said how many shows were ran in 2023, buddy? 140?
140 in 2023, 127 last year.
I think 40 of those were Stardom and Showcase shows.
Yeah, I think they were. Jesus. Like 2023 was it's no wonder there was some unrest in Stardom during that time. It's 140 shows, and it was well and away the highest amount. Like the year before, they'd only run 118, and it was only the third year that they'd run over 100 shows. Like it was a mad year, 2023, and maybe one day we'll go back and have a look at 2023 because there was. Especially early on, there was lots of things that were going right. And then coming out of 2023, they had to correct course and fast because there were some things that were going catastrophically wrong. But yeah, just going back to the Saya and Syuri thing, we'll talk a little bit more about Saya after Crimson Nightmare. And I think, the attendance is steadily going up. They are the only company to have gone the entire year surpassing 1,000 at every Korakuen Hall show. That's not to be sniffed at. Nationally, audiences continue to grow. So again, the Saya Kamitani run is being well received in Japan. And again, it is something that Stardom have said on a constant basis. We are focusing on nationally. Okay, again, internationally, any fans they can accrue internationally, obviously the work that Walker Stewart is doing is tremendous, but they will always focus on a national reaction and a national crowd reaction as well inside a venue. And the reactions to Saya Kamitani nationally are still very, 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 very good, despite her being a heel. And again, the attendances mirror that. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that when we get into the Crimson Nightmare show, because I'm sure we could spend a good amount of time on this. I think with a little bit more build, which again they've got 7 weeks to do. This is going to be a fire main event. I'm excited for this, especially after the long discussion that we had last week about it. I'm intrigued by it.
See, I sold you. I'm a salesman. You did. I can sell you on Soriano versus Saya Kamitani. That was a tough sell. That was a tough sell. And then maybe by the time we get to Dream Queendom, folks, I'll sell him that Rob's like, the best thing to happen is for Tam Nakano to come out at the end of this match and win the world. So
there's not enough time in the world, bro.
We're gonna see how good of a salesman I am.
Could do a 9-hour podcast. You ain't selling me on that.
Even I don't believe that. Even I know. I love Tam Nakano, but they're not taking that belt off Saya Kamitani. No way, no how.
They're certainly not taking it off Saya Kamitani to put it back on Tam. That story's been closed. Whether Tam comes back and helps a Cosmic Angel eventually dethrone Saya Kamitani is a completely different story. I don't think that'll happen either, but that's more likely than Tam coming back and getting the belt. Clip that when Tam Nakano comes back and wins the belt.
Or Tam Nakano comes back to do a live concert. Like that's
I think I'd prefer her coming back and winning the belt, Matt, if I'm honest.
See, I told you. Clip that. Look at that. The salesman.
And I do just want, again, like I know I said I wasn't sure about Sayori at Dream Queendom last week. That was never a case of her wrestling ability. Like her wrestling ability, like she is one of the best wrestlers in that company by an absolute mile. In the ring, she's phenomenal. And again, her and Saya Kamitani are going to create magic. The thing I wasn't sure about was where's the story? And actually, they've said, well, here's the story. And you know what? Yeah, fine. I get it. I am excited for this match.
You're all in. And then we got 7 weeks to build. And even I said last week,
that's what I mean.
How do you build to it? Like just after the tag league, let's just do Hate versus Cosmic Angels in tag matches and 6-person matches and 8-person matches. Like who's not going to want to see that? So yeah, I'm super excited for it. And we're building. We're building, my man.
It does mean by in a logical way that the main event of All-Star Grand Queendom is going to be Saya Kamitani versus Aya Sakura, and I am all here for it.
Or Yuna, right?
Oh, no, that's got to be in Corrigan Hall. The house
right.
that Yuna built.
That's right. Yeah, the pineapple house. Like, what was that? SpongeBob, right?
SpongeBob, yeah, absolutely. Who lives in the Corrigan under the sea? Yuna! What are we doing? Right, anyway, moving on away from this, let's talk about the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League, because it starts tomorrow. And as of the 4th of November, we didn't know any of the teams. Thankfully, Stardom did call an emergency press conference, which is always fun, and announce the full field of 16 teams, the block breakdowns, and of course, the matches that will be happening on each day as well. It will be a 13-date tour. The first night is the 7th of November, so tomorrow as we record, today as you're listening to this, and that'll be in Corrigan Hall live, and then the finals will be November the 30th at Act City Hamamatsu. The final will be a pay-per-view. No semi-finals or finals, no quarterfinals, semi-finals, anything like that. By the looks of it, it's just straight top people from each block will meet in the final in Hamamatsu. That's how it appears. No brackets have been announced, and there's also no matches announced for the 30th, which makes me think that it will solely be a final and things like that. I think the 29th is the final night of block action. So the teams themselves are as follows. So Red Goddess, BMI 2000, your champions, Natsuko Tora and Ruaka, Syuri Poi, Sayori Ano, and Natsupoi, who I did have winning the tournament. And of course, they won't be now because Sayori Ano slightly busy at Dream Queendom. Yuna Mizumori and Mei Seira, who I think is a really good team. I really like that booking. I think that's really good booking, especially after Mei Seira's victory over Hazuki. Hina and Rani Agami. Moonlight Dream, which of course is Waka Tsukiyama and Rian. It wasn't Moonlight Dream. What were they called? Were they called Moonlight Fantasy? They were called Moonlight Fantasy.
I was going to say Moonlight Venus. So there you go. But I like how we volleyed back and forth. We eventually got it. Look at that.
We
Teamwork
did.
makes the dream work.
There you go. Bozilla and Akira Kuragani as well. Bozilla not happy about that on Twitter. She's like, who the hell agreed that? So expect a little bit of tough love from the strongest European powerhouse. Fukuoka Double Crazy, who of course have already been replaced in this tournament. And Sari and Miku Kanai as well. That makes up your Red Goddess block. Blue Goddess, you have got Saida and B. Priestley, your Soul Stars representation in this tournament, which is wild to say out loud. Sayaka Kurora, which I can never say. Ayasakura and Sayaka Kurora, obviously your New Bloods tag team champions. Anacon make a return. Syuri and Saki Kashima, the Raiwa Tokyo Towers. Amisori and Lady C. Hanako and a mystery opponent. Telling maybe that it begins with that they've put X instead of mystery opponent. Who knows? I really hope it's who we think it is. O2 line, Azumi and Miyu Amasaki, Suzu Suzuki and Rini Yamashita, and then Konami and Rina as well. Now, of course, we've already mentioned it before I throw to you, Matt, about the field. We already know that Hazuki and Koguma have had to withdraw from the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. However, they have been replaced by, let me get this right, Tio Teleco and Osita, who, according to the Stardom Twitter page, are two luchadoras who bonded with FWC during their recent tour of Mexico. They will enter the tag league in Fukuoka Double Crazy's place. I'm sure it is complete.
There it is. Dude, that's so good.
Complete coincidence that they look exactly the same as Hazuki and Koguma and just in masks. I'm sure it is complete coincidence, of course, that Osita means little bear or small bear in Spanish, and I'm sure it is completely coincidental that Tio Teleco is December or the 12th month of the Aztec calendar. Anyway, and Hazuki is the 8th month of the Roman calendar. I'm sure it is complete coincidence, Matt Turner, but yes. So they are believed, they're called DML together, and I can't remember what DML stood for, but yes, they are entering in FWC's stead. So obviously, in all seriousness, Matt, we now have a full list of teams for the tournament. Couple of notable omissions. Momo Kogo is an
Yeah.
interesting one. And I think that is more to do with the fact that we just simply don't have any more members of Stars. She is in singles matches throughout this tour. Momo Watanabe obviously misses this tour through injury, as does Starlight Kid, as does Hanan, and as does Yoria Himi. All four of those through various injuries. Saya Kamitani is also not a part of this tour. Part of this tournament. She is part of the tour. She will be wrestling in singles matches. So, Matt, overall, an interesting tournament lineup. I know that we've both sort of come to the same conclusion as to who we think are going to win. I initially thought it could be Raiwa Tokyo Towers, but obviously we've only just done that with BMI 2000. I don't think we're going to run that back at Sumo Hall. Obviously, I did then say Syuri Poi. And of course, with Sayoriano now being in the main event, don't think that's going to happen. But what do you think of this announcement?
Again, I made mention of this to you off air and through text messages. Now I understand why it took them so long to make the announcement, because it's Hanan cleared. Is B. Priestley coming back? Who are we getting from CMLL, which now we know? Starlight Kid, obviously injury. Like, we're not sure what we're doing with Saya Kamitani. There's a lot of moving parts. And folks, let me tell you something. Booking professional wrestling is hard. Booking a tournament is really difficult. Booking a tag tournament is like next level impossible. So like, I get it. I understood why it took them so long to announce these teams. I will say this. I wish they would have done Momo Kogo and Fuki and Death. I think that would have been, Peach Death. I think that would have been the team to go to, Rob. But all in all, despite all the injuries, obviously I would have loved Starlight Kid to be in this tournament. I would have loved to see Wing Gory, defend their Goddess of Stardom Tag League tournament win from when they won last year. Of course, I'd want to see that. But regardless, I'm loving these teams. I love May Sarah and Yuna Mizumori. I think Saeed and B. Priest are going to be absolutely fantastic. We do get Sayori Poi. We do get FWC. I'm letting you, Rob, and everybody else know when we're reviewing these matches, I'm calling one Hazuki, one Kagama. Again, now you did the rewind button real quick. You did said the translation, the Spanish translation for one of the members read Bear. The other one, Rob, it read, I don't know if you saw this, it read the Stardom Cast's favorite wrestler. So
there you go. There you go.
Allegedly. So
allegedly.
But so you have FWC, you have Sarira and Miku Kunai, which I'm really excited for. We have O2 Line, which since Azumi came back, we've been seeing O2 Line kind of do more tag matches. And we'll talk about it when we get into the Crimson Nightmare. They had a bunch of new tag moves. I was like, ooh, like they're really spicing things up. So Rina and Suzu Suzuki, Rina and Kunami. Obviously hate Rina and Mila V, the local Rina. I'm really excited for those to do. Like Rina Yamashita and Suzu Suzuki are going to bust some people in the mouth. A lot of people in the mouth. So I'm really excited for it. Again, yeah, do I want Saya Kamitani in this tournament? Yeah, absolutely. But I understand why. Like, she's still going to be on this tour. I believe the Corkin show tomorrow. I think she's wrestling Kikyo Furusawa. So I think she's just going to be wrestling the younger members of the roster. One, we want to save Saya Kamitani. Last thing you want is her getting injured going into Sumo Hall and then the Tokyo Dome. Two, you don't want to overexpose her too much. So I get, like, she's still going to be there. She's still going to have a presence. She's still going to be helping out younger members of the roster because she's going to be in the ring with the younger members of the roster. But regardless, with all those bumps in the road, I'm so excited for this tournament. I cannot wait. And again, the fact that we get 3 of them, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm super excited looking for this tournament. I think this is an easy one to predict. Again, just because I thought maybe Soripoi had a shot at it. And then I'm like, no, obviously they're not going to do that because Soriano is, again, busy on Dream Queendom. I thought maybe FWC had an outside shot, but I don't think they're going to have him win it with the mask.
No,
so
definitely not.
I think there's only one team that is going to win it, Rob. I think you and I are both on the same page.
Yes, yeah, I think we are both on the same page. Just to quickly, before we do get into that, because we've got a couple of things I just want to go into. That first night, in terms of tournament matches, we have got Sayaka Kurora Sakura versus Konami and Rina. And obviously, these are all on Korakuen Hall. We have got Sayarida and B. Priestley versus O2 Line. I know that B. Priestley has put that they should be called Sayabida, and I am all for that sort of wordplay. Syuri and Saki Kashima versus Suzu and Rina Yamashita. We've then got the team of Yuna and Meisera versus Sari and Miku Kanai. That's going to be very tasty. We have got also Sayori Poi versus FWC. I know they're not FWC, but that's on Korakuen Hall. And then currently slated to be your main event is Natsuko Tora and Ruaka versus Hina and Ronnie Agami. So those are your opening night matchups. Just before we go into the final night, Matt, because that's where we can really sort of tell who's going to be there or thereabouts. The X. Now, there's going to be teaming with Hanako, because it surprises me they're not doing rice or bread, but I think we can probably guess that X is going to be Xena. I would imagine it's going to be Xena or Micah. I don't know what the timetable is for Micah's injury, to be fair. Nothing's been announced. I can't remember actually how long they said Micah was out for. But Xena has been out for over a year with that knee injury. I feel like she should be, if she's not already cleared, she should be very, very close to being cleared. I think this will be a great way to ease her back in. I say ease her back in, it's a tournament, but you know what I mean. It's not a singles tournament. And she's literally in an 8-woman tag with Mavida, with the rest of EXV on this Korakuen Hall card against a very mishmash team of the Raiwa Tokyo Towers and Bozilla and Akira Kuragane. So I think it probably is going to be Xena.
Yeah, EXV, your EXV team with EXV. So my guess would be Xena. Mike, I know they said that her surgery went really, really well, and that she'd probably be back sooner than later. It's like, I think the original timetable was December or January. So there is a good shot it could be Micah. But I think if it was going to be Micah, you would have announced her in advance. She's a big, big star for this company. Like,
also, why Russia? Why rush her into this tournament? I don't feel like this tournament, no disrespect to, I know that obviously she is a bigger star than,
everybody,
85% of this roster. Yeah, but I don't feel like the tournament particularly needs her, especially if she's not going to win it. So I would say, again, just leave her if she's fit now, because again, it wasn't that long ago that she posted that video of her taking a bump and it hurt. So yeah, I can't see it being Micah. I mean, I might be completely wrong, probably am. But it would make more sense in terms of timings. It would make sense to be Xena, which, by the way, means that we get a Xena versus Bozilla face-off. Now that is a match I am excited for.
Yeah, and just on the Micah thing, I think that if you have her, if she's cleared by Dream Queendom, you have her return on Dream Queendom. So it's like this match, and it's a special, and the return of former World of Stardom champion Micah. So I think that would just add on to the special show that is going to be Dream Queendom coming up at the end of the year. But yeah, I think it's Xena. I'm hoping that it's Xena because I really, she just really seemed to be hitting
so good. Yeah.
She was always really good, but she really seemed to be hitting a special stride, which is saying something in this company that is Stardom. And then she got injured, so it's like, so it's I'm hoping it's her. I think her and Hanako would tear it up as a tag team. But I'm really looking forward to this tournament. I think I made mention a few times during some of those Artist of Stardom Championship matches. I'm like, Konami and Rina have really great chemistry, so I'm excited to see what they do. Yeah, I'm really excited for this tournament, but yeah, I think that are we doing our predictions now, buddy? Or you want to segue into that, or how do you want to go about this there?
Well, I'm just looking at the moment, and I know I've said that there's no semifinals or finals. Nothing has been announced.
They never announced it, yeah.
But there's also nothing announced for the 29th, which is the final block thing. So the 30th is the final. So maybe they are doing semifinals and quarterfinals, which means that there are, because again, every card has been announced for the Tag League apart from the 29th, which is called, if I just get my list up, it is called Tag League Final Tournament. So maybe we are doing semifinals, in which case it'll be obviously the top two going through. Maybe we do a top two then from both. Obviously, hopefully we will get a little bit more clarity as we get closer. If I was to pick two people going through out of the Red Goddess block, I mean, the final night of block action is looking like it's FWC and BMI 2000. I think FWC probably beat BMI 2000 to stop them going through.
Right.
In terms of names going through, saying that, if you take BMI, I think Sayori Poi go through. I don't think they make it through to the final.
So you need a draw. You need a draw on that final, on that one of those big final shows, and they're a draw.
Yeah.
So business aspect and the
So I
fact that
think
they're good. Yep. I'm sorry, God.
no, I think Sayori Poi. If you don't have BMI 2000 go through, maybe they do have FWC go through under their new guys and then lose in the semi-finals. You could also argue that potentially Sari and Miku Kanai, although I imagine Miku Kanai is there to take the falls. So I don't think the winner is coming from Red Goddess, let's say. Blue Goddess, I think it's actually harder to predict somehow. I think O2 Line go through because, spoiler, they're my winners overall. I think,
Agreed. Yeah.
I mean, surely give them a highlighted match on Dream Queendom. Looking at it, if we're going semi-finals, I think you probably O2 Line and Ride with Tokyo Towers.
Great shout, buddy. Great. I'm excited we're going to see Izumi and Syuri across the ring from each other because they have really great underrated chemistry. I'm going to say, just because maybe this is what I really want to see. Again, O2 Line is winning the whole thing. I would bet a good penny on that one.
Yeah.
Suzu and Rina Yamashita. I just think that team's going to steamroll through a lot of people, but I could see maybe Konami and Rina.
That was who I wasn't sure about.
They're 2/3 of the Goddess of Stardom champions. Or, I mean, I don't know if they're going to make it to the finals, but I can see Ai and Sayaka making a really good run as well because they've been putting some steam on those. But I'm going to lock it in. I'm going to say O2 Line and Rina Yamashita and Suzuki. And then I'm going to say, I guess just to make it easy, I'm going to say FWC and Soroi Poi. But again, I could see Syuri versus Miku Kanai because I think they're setting up between the Tag League and the Sariism show coming up this Monday. By the way, again, these shows on Monday, guys are crushing me. I think they're going to use those to set up Syuri versus Natsupoi in a special singles match at Dream Queendom.
Well, it is worth pointing out that the final block action, which is the 28th, has Sayori Poi versus Sari and Miku Kanai.
Boom! There it is.
So that's
what you said. I think you tease it a little bit on Monday. Kind of like what's going on there. And I think that's who you pulled the trigger on it, my friend.
Yeah, so the final night of block action, again, the 29th is completely blank. So I think we can assume that maybe there are going to be semifinals, even though I don't think it was expressly said during the press conference, and it certainly hasn't been announced on social media. It is Suzu and Rina Yamashita versus Konami and Rina. So let me check that I'm on the right one. Yes. So this is in KBS Hall. You've got Syuri and Saki versus Hanako and who we think is probably going to be Xena. You've got Isuka and Sayaka Kurora versus O2 Line, which again could be a case of O2 Line need to win to go through. You have got Waka and Rian versus Bozilla and Akira Kuragani. Sayori Poi versus Sari and Miku Kanai, and then BMI 2000 versus FWC. So again, I think FWC could potentially beat BMI 2000 to stop BMI 2000 going through. I think you're absolutely right. I think Sari and Natsupoi probably set something up ahead of Dream Queendom. I think that's a big drawing match, especially if Natsupoi is doing interviews with Tokyo Sports about how she's lost that fire for pro wrestling and needs Sari to bring it out of her. It writes itself to bring it into Dream Queendom, unless it's true, in which case, Natsupoi's so nice. Natsupoi's so lovely. I don't want her to lose her fire. And then, O2 Line versus Sayaka Kurora and Sayaka Kurora. I think that Blue Goddess match, that first one that we said, Rina Yamashita and Suzu versus Konami and Rina, maybe that could be a block final as well. Maybe.
Yeah. Rob, last question. How many matches does BMI 2000 lose via disqualification?
It's a good question.
Because Tora, for some reason, she just likes getting disqualified.
does love a tasty disqualification, does Tora?
Ding, 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 ding.
I think the chances are, I mean, they've got to record some wins. They've got to look strong in this tournament. They're the champions. So I think they probably beat Hina and Rani Yagami at Korakuen. They will definitely beat Waka and Rian. No, sorry. The chances are they are one of the teams that beat Sari and Miku Kanai. Sorry, Miku. And then potentially, do you have them go over Bozilla and Akira, or is that one of the matches that Bozilla basically just wins on her own? Yeah, I would say they get disqualified in. I'm going to be conservative and say maximum 2.
I'm with you out too. They're getting disqualified in Sorry Boy. They're
Yeah,
definitely getting disqualified in Sorry Boy, but
absolutely, absolutely.
a good DQ, my man. I don't mean Dairy Queen.
So yes, we will talk about that obviously next week. The Korakuen Hall show is live on Stardom World. The 2 shows from the 8th and the 9th, which are coming at you from Gunma and Nagano. They will be on video on demand. So so next time we record, which will be Thursday, the 13th, we will have potentially 4 shows to talk about because they are in Korakuen on the 7th, Gunma on the 8th, Nagano on the 9th, and then Sendai Pit on the 12th. So again, we could have a very, very busy show next week. And we'll also obviously have a very clearer idea of who's going to be winning those blocks and who's going to be in the running. Moving on to another couple of bits of news. Obviously, Supreme Fight 2026 in Osaka was announced by Stardom at Crimson Nightmare. They announced that the pay-per-view will emanate from the Edion Arena Osaka on February 7th, 2026, which will mark the first time since September 14th, 2024 that they have run the venue. Matt, for a special bonus point, can you remember what the main event was the last time Stardom ran the Edion Arena Osaka?
What was the date that they ran it?
14th of September, 2024.
14th of September, 2024. Was that Tam Nakano versus Micah?
It was indeed. Well done. The World of Stardom Championship. It was Micah's 5-star Grand Prix. Cash in, they drew 1,407 people to the venue. So again, a return after what will be roughly 18 months for Stardom to the Edion Arena Osaka. So again, making big strides, Matt Turner.
Yep. Real quick, what's the main event of that show? Saya Kamitani versus, right? We pretty much agreed.
Do you know what? Straight away, I was like, "Ooh, what about Starlight Kid?" But I don't.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah,
Could
not
do.
unless Kid wins the belt back, which we'll get into, but
I think she does.
Saya either versus Hanan, Saya versus Starlight Kid, or maybe they pull the trigger on the Syuri match there. I don't know.
Maybe they're definitely pulling the trigger on the Syuri match. Definitely. Unfortunately, it's not all sunshines and rainbows for Stardom. Unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier when I talked about absences from the Tag League announcements, both Starlight Kid and Momo Watanabe will be missing this tour in its entirety. Obviously, Watanabe confirmed post-match after Saya that she will be taking time off to heal a knee injury and a heel injury following the defeat. And obviously, Starlight Kid was announced to have sustained an arm injury during a title loss to Konami. I think the chances are the arm injury was before that match and they're using the match to cover it because, again, Konami targeted it at not in Chiba, the show before that, and targeted it again during this match. So I imagine that's a cover for her to recover. And obviously, it's a great thing for Konami to having it put both Starlight Kid and Hanan on the shelf. So both those women out for this tour. I imagine we will probably see them both back in action for Dream Queendom if the injuries aren't too bad. But obviously, we wish them both the very, very best, Matt Turner.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that because when I was watching that show on the 1st of November after the Neo Genesis match, Konami attacked Starlight Kid's arm, and like we never really. That's like a WWE. That's like an American angle where they do it like before the pay per view, and like, oh, is this person going to be able to make the show? Like, it's very rare that we see it in Stardom before a big championship match on a pay per view, and I can't remember a time that they actually did it. I'm like, that's really weird. Where are they going with it? And then you find out after the match that I'm like, oh, Starlight Kid's out with an injury. Again, I like the cover up. Not only does it make sense in a kayfabe aspect, it makes Konami look like even more of a killer. She took Hanan out, winner of the Cinderella tournament last year, winner of the Goddess tournament last year, and now she takes Starlight Kid out, probably the second biggest star in this company right now. She basically takes them out all in the same calendar year and claims the second biggest prize in all of Stardom. It makes Konami look more like a killer. and it makes you want to see either Starlight Kid or Hanan come back, and you will pay money to see them kick Konami's ass and win the Wonder of Stardom Championship. So it's, again, logical booking makes sense. Momo Watanabe, the fact that she's been wrestling like this busted up. I think the heel injury started at that Mercedes Monet match back, I believe, spring.
Yeah, I think she aggravated it again.
Yeah, and the fact that she had such a great 5-star Grand Prix, again, that final match with Azumi, one of my favorite matches of the year in all of wrestling. Then her and Kamitani have an absolute banger. The fact that, again, we didn't know that she can barely walk, yet is taking her Karanas off the apron onto the floor. Really just goes to show you what a next level wrestler Momo Watanabe is. So I like how we're on the side of caution. They're beat up. Give them time to rest as we're built. And again, we don't know when they're going to be back, but my guess is they're giving them this tour off to rest, heal their bodies, so they're ready for the big show at the end of the year. Which, again, two big question marks. What are they doing with Momo? What are they doing with Starlight Kid? I kind of have some ideas, maybe some fantasy booking, but we'll see, my man. We'll see. But obviously, we want these two to rest up. And actually, now that I'm looking at this picture on YouTube, Rob, these two are former tag team champions. Back Goddess and Stardom champions back in 2022. Starlight Kid and Momo Watanabe, two just next level wrestlers. And, we wish them well, and we hope to see them back in the ring at 100%.
Yeah, former Goddess of Stardom champions, Black Desire. Because if you remember, we laughed because it sounded like one of those box of chocolates that you get at Christmas. Moving on again, Natsupoi is going to be a very, very busy bee over the next couple of weeks, especially the week beginning the 13th of November. Not only is she being announced in the main event of the Sadism show, but she has been confirmed to be teaming with fellow Cosmic Angels Aya Sakura on Sendai Girls' next Korakuen Hall event, which is Chihiro Hashimoto's 10th anniversary show titled Kaibitsu. Oh my God, I knew I was going to mispronounce this. Kaibutsu, a decade. The main event of that show, by the way, is going to be Sadi and Chihiro Hashimoto, but Natsupoi will be teaming with Aya against Bob Momo Banana, which is going to be an absolutely fantastic match. Korakuen Hall on November the 16th, which I believe is a week on Thursday. So that's going to be very, very exciting. Just a quick run through of the rest of the cards. You've got Chi-Chi and Soi versus Yuna and Yuka. You have got the finals of the Yaya Uma tournament, which is Senkara Katsuki versus Spike Nishimura. You have got a three-way, which is Shin Hirota versus you versus Aja Kong. The aforementioned tag match, Natsupoi and Aya Sakura against Bob Momo Banana. You have got a match, I believe, that was announced today. Maria versus Dash Chisako. Another tag match, Takumi Iroha and Veni versus Red Energy because Star Power. And then in your main event, that aforementioned singles match, Sari versus Chihiro Hashimoto. First of all, congratulations on a decade in pro wrestling to Chihiro Hashimoto. Secondly, another banger of a card from Sendai Girls.
These cards are the reason why we created Talk Joshi. These cards are the reason why I would do it once a month, and everyone's like, what about this? What about this? No, now we do it once a week. We will be covering this. I believe this one comes out, I believe we'll be on Talk Joshi episode 24 because we just recorded Talk Joshi episode 22, which I labeled Talk Joshi episode 22. My favorite chocolate drink is Yoo-Hoo. So that's the fun, Rob, we have on all. Just in life. That's what we do. Yes, we will be covering the show in 2 weeks' time on Talk Joshi. I don't know what match I'm looking forward to the most. Obviously Syuri versus Chihiro Hashimoto. They have such a great history. Red Energy, probably my favorite tag team outside of the Stardom bubble versus Takumi Iroha and Benny. But this is going to be great. Bob Momo Banana, they are just on another level. Just a great tag team. Very entertaining, very funny, but very serious. Great tag action. And again, Natsupoi and Aya Sakura. Again, another reason why that whole Tokyo Sports interview with Natsupoi is just to build up to the Syuri match that we make at the end of this year. Because if you don't like something, like I don't have a fire for wrestling anymore, why are you showing up on all these cards and all these big matches and wrestling in a tag tournament? Like it wouldn't make sense. I'm just thinking about it in a logical aspect, folks. But in all seriousness, I'm so excited for this entire card, especially this match. Bob Momo Banana versus Aya and Natsupoi, which is going to be interesting because Aya usually either teams with Yuna Mizumori or Sayaka Kurora, and Natsupoi usually teams with obviously Tam's retired, Tam or Soriano. So we've seen them in 6-person tag before, but we've never seen a straight up tag with Natsupoi and Aya. So it's going to be interesting to see how well they do as a team. I have all the confidence in the world they're going to knock it out of the park, especially against Eureka Oka and one Miyamono. Super excited for the show. Super excited for this match. All great stuff. And again, we will definitely be covering this entire show on Talk Joshi in a few weeks' time.
And no disrespect, but iScore is 100% taking the pinfall in that match. Moving on then, Hazuki. I've mentioned Natsupoi is going to be busy. Hazuki might be the only person in the wrestling sphere who is busier than Natsupoi. So unfortunately, it was announced that she was going to be pulled from Natsu Sumire's produce show that was supposed to take place on the 31st of August. Sayonara no Kawari
October.
ni. What did I say? November.
August.
Oh, it's because I said Hazuki. Yeah, October 31st. I apologize. It was supposed to take, well, it did take place in Tokyo Square in Itabashi. Hazuki was supposed to be teaming with Ayami Sasamura against a team of Veni and Salim Nasora, but her flight was delayed coming back from Mexico, which means that she couldn't make the card. She would ultimately be replaced by Suzu Suzuki, with her and Sasamura picking up the win in just under 15 minutes. So every cloud. However, the Wild Heart isn't done, because she's returning to her hardcore roots once again, because someone she is facing is Risa Sera at Prominence's 10th of November show at Shinkiba First Ring, with Hazuki facing Sera in a hardcore match with a 13-minute time limit, which I must admit I've never seen. However, Risa Sera is also wrestling another 13-minute hardcore match against Itsuki Aoki earlier on in the night. So we will be seeing that for Hazuki and for Risa Sera as she continues her journey towards retirement, which again we'll be talking about a little bit later on January 12th. And then finally, Matt, before I throw to you, FWC have also been confirmed to be wrestling on Diana's 15th of November Hokkaido show in Chateraise Gato Kingdom, Sapporo. Also slated to participate on that card is Risa Sera, Unagi Sayaka, and you, as well as others as well. So Hazuki, Matt, might be the busiest person in wrestling.
I'm just glad that they gave her the tag league off, buddy.
Absolutely.
Glad they gave her.
Absolutely. I mean, it makes sense. It makes
Yeah.
sense.
I mean,
Big loaded schedule for Hazuki.
yeah, you can't be everywhere all at one place, buddy. You know what I mean? You can't be.
Exactly.
But yeah, lots of really cool news coming out of the world of Joshi over the last few days. I mean, a lot of it we covered already. But again, it's the Hazuki cast, at least this portion of it, with her being in Diana and Prominence and just all over the place, is one wild heart Hazuki. And team with Kagama as well. Again, one of the many great things about Hazuki is not only she a great singles wrestler, but arguably one of the best tag teams we've seen in Joshi over the last 3 years in running is her and Kagama as FWC. And yeah, it's really great to see her just getting everywhere where she needs to be. Hopefully she brings those fans bases back over to Stardom, and that translates into that big Wonder Stardom Championship round around, because it wouldn't be a Stardom cast episode if we didn't mention Hazuki finally winning that white belt.
Oh, well, I'll be mentioning it a lot during that high-speed title match. Don't you worry. I'll be mentioning it enough for both of us. But yes, obviously, the one thing I hope about the Prominence match is that Rita Sera is able to make it through, because it's obviously she had the match against Takumi Aroha at Monday Magic, and obviously you could tell that her knees are shot. Bless her. She's retiring in January, so to then wrestle two hardcore matches back to back on one show is pushing it. I hope she is okay to do that. That's my only thing. Obviously, it's a hardcore match, so you can rely a little bit more on weapon shots and things like that. It's still incredibly hard work. So yeah, again, fingers crossed that she's okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say for those hardcore matches is kind of, pull back the curtain a little bit. It's a little bit easier than like a straight up technical wrestling match because you're not running off the rope. I mean, you can run off the ropes, but you don't have to. You can rely on stuff like that. I have friends of mine that do the hardcore matches where sometimes they prefer them because all you just take one or two things and then you sell and then you get back up. It's less running, less cardio. So hopefully, whatever that knee injury she had with that match with Takumi Roha, again, I love Risa Sera. I love Takumi Roha. I won't watch that match out of respect for Risa Sera. I will probably never see that match. But maybe she got straightened out or got a cortisone shot, or she understood maybe if I wrap it a certain way, I'll be able to make it. But most importantly, as you said, partner, I just hope that she comes out of these matches healthy.
Yeah, Absolutely. Right, Matt. Let's talk about some shows then, because we have actually been we've been sort of talking for an hour and 15 minutes, and haven't actually gone into any of the three show reviews we're going to do. We are going to go through New Blood and the Chiba show fairly sharpish, because obviously the main event of this show is talking about Crimson Nightmare. But in terms of New Blood, 30th of October, New Blood 26 went down. The main event, obviously, the fifth New Blood Tag Team Champions, Rice or Bread, defending their belts for a fifth time against Saya Kamitani. 308 days they have been champions, the highest and most successful reign of any New Blood Tag Team Champions. The announced attendance inside the Kanda Myosin Hall in Tokyo was 239 people. It's the first time Stardom have actually run the venue, but to give some context to this number, TJPW drew 215 people to the venue back in April, LLPWX drew 250 in July, and DDT have also run 2 shows at the venue this year, but have not disclosed the attendance. Stardom are running one of the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League dates at that venue. The 239 number, by the way, not only is it an increase, a very mild increase over the 225 brought into New Blood 25 to the 216 brought into New Blood 24. It's continuing that upwards trajectory of New Blood shows. It's actually the highest attendance to a New Blood show since New Blood 21, where they drew 268 to Shinkiba First Ring. So again, it's nice to see these upward trajectories for the New Blood brand. In terms of the results then, 5 matches on the card. Kikyo Furusawa got her first ever singles victory, defeating Emma Maishima with a cross-leg ankle lock in 7 minutes and 33 seconds. Singles match, Himiko defeated Akira Kuragane with the pedigree Himiko Buster in 10 minutes and 26 seconds. Now, this was initially supposed to be Nanami, but prior to the show, both Diana and Stardom did confirm that, unfortunately, Nanami would need to be replaced by Himiko due to an injury. We then, another singles match, Yuki Mashiro defeated Rian with a spinning modified Fisherman's Buster in 10 minutes and 11 seconds. Semi-main event, 6-woman tag team match. The team of Azusa Inaba, Debbie Keetle, and Ramkai Chow defeated the God's Eye team of Tomoka Inaba, Rani Yagami, and Kyoka Kotatsu. Ramkai Chow getting the win with the fantastically named Vengeful Spirit Clutch over Rani Yagami in 12 minutes and 13 seconds. And then in your main event, New Blood Tag Team Championships match, Sakurara, Aya Sakura, and Sayaka Kurora become your new Blood Tag Team Champions, defeating Rice or Bread. Aya Sakura getting that elusive pinfall victory over Hanako with her brand new move, a straight jacket suplex she has christened Blooming Dream, in 17 minutes and 15 seconds in what was an absolutely phenomenal match. Let's start, though, with Kikyo Furusawa, Matt, getting her first singles victory in a Stardom ring, trading wins with Emma Maishima over the course of these cards. What did you think of this, good sir?
Correct me if I'm wrong, buddy. This is the 3rd New Blood show for the month of October, and this is the 3rd time they wrestled. So they're 1-1-1, with Emma getting a win.
1-1-1, yeah.
The old TLD, and then Kikyo getting win. So I like that. I like that little story. I'm almost positive each one of these matches opened up the show. So you have that little story there, and I thought each match got better. I really do. I thought that these are really great stride. And again, they're both rookies. The fact that they're not relying on a Syuri or a Momo Watanabe or a Starlight Kid to like put things together or help them out in certain spots. Like, they know where they're going this younger in their career. Great stuff. Emma is very good with the high-speed style wrestling, where Kikyo is very good at breaking down the knee into the ankle locks. And the psychology made sense. Emma's trying to use her high-speed advantage. Kikyo is breaking down that knee. Eventually, she uses that modified knee bar, forcing Emma to tap out. Great match to start the show. Again, I loved the 3-match series that they had. I thought it was smart booking, and to help both of them out. 3 3/4 stars.
Moving on then, Akira Kuragane versus Himiko. Obviously, Himiko, as I mentioned, that replacement for Nanami, getting the win over Akira. Akira can't seem to buy a victory at the moment for Stardom, which I imagine is contributing significantly to the amount of frustration felt by Bozilla at the Tag League announcements. Matt, what did you think of this one?
It's a solid match. Again, Akira's very good at the strikes. He's very good at using the strikes to set up her submissions and the submissions to set up the strikes. We've seen Himiko a time or two before. I'm always impressed by her. Again, that's why I love these new blood concepts because you're getting the younger Stardom wrestlers with wrestlers outside of the company. Really good back and forth stuff, but towards the end, it was just too much Himiko using her experience to put away Akira with the modified Angel's Wings. 3.25 stars for me.
Akira Kuragane, by the way, remaining on just one singles victory out of a possible 18. So, yeah, not a happy time for Akira. Again, just 7 tag team victories in 25 as well. So it's not looking good for her in terms of the tag league. Moving on, Yuki Mashiro versus Rian. And again, yes, Rian lost this match, but I thought she gave a really good account of herself against Yuki, who has been very, very impressive over the course of these 3 New Blood appearances.
Sign Yuki, Stardom. Sign
Hashtag
Yuki.
sign Yuki.
So good. This was great. My second favorite match from this show.
Yeah.
Rihanna is another one. She's so endearing. She's so great. She's so fun to watch. Her development is terrific. Again, the fact that we don't get to see Yuki that much, we saw Yuki on, I believe, the last show against May Sarah. So it's almost like a treat. Like, oh, this is going to be great. And this was great. Really like high speed style match. And we've been saying for a while, there's really no more high speed challengers for May Sarah. Like we keep recycling Fuki and Death. We keep recycling Momo Kogo. We keep recycling Saki Kashima. No disrespect to them, but like let's get some new blood into the high speed division. Emma, Yuki, Rion. There's a lot right there. And again, this was a high speed style match. Excellent stuff back and forth. And again, 10 minutes, time to tell their story. The crowd was really involved in this. And Yuki winning with like a spinning variation of the Fisherman Suplex, putting away Stone Cold Rion, 3 3/4 stars. I thought this was absolutely fantastic.
6-woman tag match. Ramkai Chow, as I mentioned, getting the roll-up victory over Rani Agami with perhaps the greatest named roll-up ever, the Vengeful Clutch. Matt, I know you're a fan of Debbie Keetle. I know you're a fan of pretty much everyone in this match. What were your thoughts?
I want to see Debbie versus Tomoka Inaba. Their exchanges were great. Like she was
Yep.
taking this stuff from Tomoka and then bringing it back. We've only seen Debbie a time or two. I think she mostly wrestles out of Diana. So I've seen some of her stuff over there. I love the gimmick. I love how she comes with a cup of coffee, and I like how the referee in the beginning, like he's checking to see if there's weapons. And obviously, you have to watch out for Ram because you know she's gonna have the powder, and then the fake Gambit cards from the X-Men. And then Azusa Inaba, she's part of hate. So she know that you're always gonna get some shenanigans from
Sure.
there. And the referee was trying to take away Debbie's coffee, and she's like, "That's my drink. Like you can't take that away from me." I thought that was just a little funny thing. But then once this match starts, it was really really fun stuff. Again, Kyoto Kotatsu, I'm always super impressed with her. New gear, Rob, which we'll put that over. Excellent stuff. Rana is almost a staple on these new blood shows. It's nice when we see Tomoka on these new blood shows because it's almost like a special attraction because of her star level. Again, she was mere seconds away of dethroning Starlight Kid to win the Wonder of Stardom Championship. But the main thing I came out of this is I want to see Debbie Keetle versus Tomoka Inaba in a singles match, 10, 12 minutes, because those two absolutely brought it. Again, you had your comedy, which I thought was great, with eventually Ram Kachow getting the win, getting the roll-up win over Rani Yagami, 3.5 stars for me.
We move on then to the main event, and this was tremendous. This was probably one of my favorite matches of these 3 shows that we're going to be talking about. I thought all 4 women were phenomenal. I'm a huge Aya Sakura fan. Full props to Hanako. Hanako bumped and sold her ass off for Aya in this match. I just want to give a big shout out to these 4 women because we talk about the work rate angels. In terms of the most amount of matches wrestled by Stardom wrestlers, Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora have wrestled the most with 96. Hanako has wrestled the 3rd most with 94. And Waka Tsukiyama has wrestled the 7th most with 88. So of the 7 most wrestled wrestlers on the Stardom roster, these 4 make up 4/7 of that. So that just goes to show how relentlessly they've wrestled over the course of this year. And I think this was a great showcase for all 4 women, a great moment with Aya Sakura getting that huge victory over Hanako. But again, considering we weren't questioning Hanako at the start of the year. We were talking about where could she develop, and a lot of that was her not her charisma per se, but sort of her character almost. There was something missing. She was a little bit wooden, I think. And this match epitomized that she has worked on that really well. The selling was perfect. She was throwing herself into some of the moves hit by Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora as well. I think this match was a really, really good indication of the improvement in Hanako, and overall a really good advert for the New Blood brand.
New Gear Waka, she looked
New
great.
Gear Waka.
Waka's another one that's in a new light. Waka's another one that's really taking advantage of every moment that they give her. They've been giving her quite a bit, between here, main eventing this New Blood show, the fact she was on the semi-main event of a jammed Cork and Hall show. So again, Waka's another one that's really leveling up her character, leveling up her look, like really taking advantage of the spotlight. Her and Hanako are great as a team. And again, Waka and Rion, they're terrific as a team as well. And I'm really excited to see what they're going to do in the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. Do I think they're going to, pull a Micah and win every single match? No, but they're going to have some really great matches. So I'm really looking forward to that. I love this chemistry with Aya and Hanako. And as we're getting towards the end of the year, which is crazy, we're like 7 weeks away. When we do our Stardom Cast Awards, Rob, we might have to take a step back, and for feud of the year, we might have to put Hanako versus Aya Sakura on the ballot because they're developing a really great story here, especially these last 2 months or so. Aya and Sayaka, terrific as a team. You're absolutely right. Great chemistry. I love the Hanako Waka stuff. I just think Rice or Bread, or as they should be called,
Wanako.
Really great. I wish they would have had more New Blood Championship defenses. So, like, obviously they held them for quite a long time, but there's so many New Blood shows that they were on. They're like, how come we're not defending the titles? How come we're not defending the titles? We kind of figured eventually this is where they were going to go, drop them to the 2 members of Cosmic Angels. I wish they would have had more defenses, but I thought this was not only great from a technical aspect, but from the psychology of listening to the crowd, because the crowd was into this entire show, especially this match, and it kept building and building and building. And then we get to this almost mini singles match with Aya and Hanako, and Aya it kicks out of the JP coaster, then she hits a German suplex on Hanako, and the crowd is molten hot. And right there, it's like that's where we need to take it home. That's where we need to take it home, because this is the hottest the crowd has been for the 2 hours of the show. We're getting towards the end. Let's finish it up, because they loved them some Hanako and Waka, but they were all here to see new champions, and that's exactly what they got. The crowd came for something. That's what they got. Excellent match, 4.25 stars. It's just Joshi Tag Wrestling's on another level, not just in Marigold, not just in Sendai Girls, which we talked about, not just in Stardom, but on these New Blood shows as well. We're getting great tag team action, and now we have new tag champs with Aya and Sayaka. And what a great way. Hey, they won the belts. Guess what? You're in the tag league, and they're going to be wearing those belts, and they should be each and every tag league match, because that's just a free commercial to put towards the YouTube show that is New Blood. 4.25 stars, really great match. And all these 4 of these women really, really busted their asses to put on a memorable match, and arguably one of the best matches in New Blood's history.
Just before we move on to the show from Chiba, I just want to give sort of a little bit of a spotlight on what Aya Sakura said during her post-match when she took the microphone. Both of these transcripts are courtesy of Mira Wrestling on Twitter. In terms of Hanako, obviously, we've seen a very heated rivalry between Aya Sakura, should I say, and Hanako. And she actually took to the microphone, directed this at Hanako, and said, "We fought a lot. We've disagreed on so many things. We've clashed. And there were times when I really, really disliked you. We've all been there. But the reason why Aya Sakura, the pro wrestler, was born in this New Blood ring is because we were together on the day of the entrance exam. You taught me everything about pro wrestling. We entered the dojo together on the same day. And from that day on, you taught me so much about pro wrestling. The reason why pro wrestler Aya Sakura was born is because of Hanako's existence," which I thought was a really, really cool thing to sort of say. Yes, we've been here for the titles, but the reason I am where I am is because of you and, your guidance and help. And what you forced me to become. So I thought that was great. But this was great. So again, she pointed to Waka Tsukiyama and said that, "I know you've been working hard behind the scenes of this New Blood to make it even better, negotiating with the staff, asking can we have a checky session, secretly working hard to make sure the fans who come to New Blood have a great time. Waka Tsukiyama is the one who did all of that." So again, I'm just going to give a big round of applause to Waka Tsukiyama because she bloody deserves it.
We love what a checky session is the photo thing, right?
I believe so, yes.
It is now.
It is now. Even if it's not, it is now. But yeah, well done, Waka.
Behind the
Excellent work.
scenes Waka. Behind the scenes Waka.
Love
Look
it.
at that.
Honestly,
Wakamania.
how can anyone dislike her? She's lovely. But yes, that did bring to an end New Blood 26, which by all accounts was another really solid New Blood card. But this match was really, really good. And it's certainly up there as one of the best New Blood title matches. I'd have to really go back and have a look and think what are the best. I know Wingori had some really, really good matches.
There was that three-way. It was Wingori, Starlight Kid, and Haruka Yamasaki when she was doing the Karma gimmick. But she was still a great wrestler, and it's Starlight Kid. And then I forget who the other team was.
Was it Lady C?
I think it was Demolition.
Demolition. It's always Demolition. Always Demolition. Anyway, let's move on. So from there, we go to Chiba, the first of the 11th, the final show before Crimson Nightmare. A couple of things just to note about this show from the TKP Garden City in Chiba was that Syuri would be absent with her doing promotion for an upcoming film project and also being in a stage play called What's Wrong with Killing People, which I know that a lot of the Stardom roster have been to go and see. I know a friend of the show, Kevin Mullin, went to see that as well. So apparently getting rave reviews. So you've got the star again at Wrestle Kingdom. We've got the stars of the stage and screen quite literally in Syuri and Saya. So there you go. Also, hours before the show, they did announce that the entire show will be aired for free on Stardom's YouTube channel. The announced attendance inside TKP Garden City in Chiba was 326, a slight 3-person increase on the last time they ran the venue, which was 323 people in March of 2025. Is the 8th time the company have run the venue, with this being the second highest they have drawn. The highest being 353 in May of 2023. So in terms of the results then, tag team match opened the show. Neo Genesis, Starlight Kid and Mei Seira defeated Emma Maishima and Kikyo Furusawa. Starlight Kid submitting Emma with a Black Tiger leg killer in 10 minutes and 41 seconds. 6-woman tag team match next. EXV, Hanako, Waka Tsukiyama, and Rian defeated the Cosmic Angels team of Sayaka Kurora, Syuri Ano, and Yuna Mizumori. Hanako pinning Yuna with the JP coaster in 11 minutes and 29 seconds. Tag team action, O2 line getting ready for that tag league. Azumi and Miyu Amasaki defeated the God's Eye team of Rana and Kyoka Kotatsu. Azumi pinning Kyoka with the diving double foot stomp in 10 minutes and 9 seconds. Another tag team match, the Stars team of Sayurida and Momo Kogo. They defeated the Cosmic Angels team of Aya Sakura and Natsupoi. Sayurida welcoming champion Aya Sakura to the ring with a defeat in a vertical drop brainbuster in 12 minutes and 54 seconds. 10-woman tag team match as your semi-main event. The God's Eye team, not the God team, the God's Eye team of Amisori, Saki Kashima, Hina, Tomoka Inaba, and Lady C defeated the Mavida Loka team of Suzu Suzuki, Bozilla, Itsuki Aoki, Rini Yamashita, and Akira Kuragane. Hina pinning Akira with the modified jackhammer in 17 minutes and 28 seconds. And then, of course, the main event of the show, your Hate versus Hate matchup, your one bit of promotion for the Crimson Nightmare main event, apparently. The Hate team of Saya Kamitani, Natsuko Tora, Konami, and Azusa Inaba, and the Hate team of Momo Watanabe, Rina, Ruaka, and Fukin Death ended rather predictably in a 20-minute time limit draw. Now, before the show, rookies Ann Kanai and Chiba native Motoi Hamabe both came out to open the show. Both, of course, are still out with injuries, with the pair promising that the next time they were in Chiba, they would be taking part in the show. So fingers crossed, we are counting down the days that we see Motoi and Anne back in the ring. Started, Matt, with Mei Seira and Starlight Kid versus the two rookies. Obviously, Starlight Kid submitting Emma Maishima. We've seen a lot of Emma and Kikyo against each other. How did they fare as a team against Neo Genesis here?
I thought they were really great as a team. And the one thing I took off this show was clearly they're doing O2 line as your team in the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. And they're going to do Starlight Kid and Mei Seira, which I was all excited to see that team. But obviously, as we discussed earlier, that Starlight Kid is out with an injury. But I thought this was great. And I mentioned with we talked about Emma and New Blood, how she's a great high speed wrestler, and it starts with Emma and May doing the high speed style. And May is there to guide Emma through everything. You can see May is such a pro, making sure the young Emma fits in really well with that style. And that's a match I would like to see, depending on where they're going with May Sarah's fantastic championship run. Starlight Kid is great here as well. She plays the hits, but at the same time, she gives Emma and Kikyo the opportunity to shine. Great teamwork with Starlight Kid and May Sarah. Ultimately, it is the Black Tiger leg killer submission that forces Emma to tap out. Let me say you want to start your show off with a hot match. This is a hot match, especially with a faction that is over as Neo Genesis. Great stuff. 3.5 stars for me. And again, this is where we get the post-match angle where Konami smashes Starlight Kid's arm into the post with a chair.
And there you go. I mean, we should have known at that point that, I think you said it was a very WWE angle. It was a very Americanized angle, and maybe we should have known there that, okay, maybe Starlight Kid's not 100%, and they're sort of giving her a way out, if you will, ahead of Crimson Nightmare, which obviously we'll talk a little bit about shortly. 6-woman tag match, EXV getting the win over Cosmic Angels, Hanako versus Yuna Mizumori, the matchup that I was really interested about here, but also Syuri against Hanako as well. Rian looked great in this match as well, Matt.
Yeah, obviously, I love me some Cosmic Angels, especially when you have Soriano in there. But I've been saying it pretty much every week when we review these quote unquote house shows, because a lot of them we have Hanako, Rian, and Waka. Let's get them some wins here. They're the only members right now holding up EXV until now, because we don't know what's going to happen in about 12 hours from now, partner. But they get a big win here, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Hopefully, we're building them up. By them, I mean Hanako, Waka, and Rian. We're building them up for an Artist of Stardom championship match. I think that would be a great way to go. Yuna here, she's absolutely fantastic. Her stuff with Hanako was great. Rian and Soriano. Again, Soriano does a great job making sure Rian looks really, really good. They had some really great chemistry. Rian does a great job rising to the occasion when she's in the ring with those main event wrestlers. We've seen it with Azumi and Starlight Kid, and we see it with Soriano. Ultimately, though, is just the basically Hanako, Waka, and Rian just being familiar with each other as a trio, a little more than this Sayaka Kurora, Soriano, and Yuna team that kind of basically gives them the advantage. And then it's Hanako hitting the JP coaster, pinning Yuna Mizumori. 3 3/4 stars. This was great. One of my favorite matches from this show.
One thing this show did do was give teams we thought we were going to get some momentum into the tag league. One of those teams was O2 Line getting the win over Rani Yagami and Kyoka Kitatsu. I'm quite surprised Kyoka isn't in the tag league, especially as we're missing both the Inaba sisters as well. But O2 Line, a big statement win ahead of their tag league in just a couple of days' time.
This entire year, we haven't seen too much of O2 Line, just the two of them. We started the year off with Azumi, me, you, and Starlight Kid as your artist champions, and then Azumi chasing Starlight Kid for the Wonder of Stardom Championship as somebody goes 80 miles an hour down my road. And then Azumi getting ready for that unbelievable run in the 5-star Grand Prix. So now we put them back together. And I noticed here, and I noticed it when we'll talk about Crimson Nightmare, they did their normal tag team stuff, but added more stuff to it and added more intensity to what they were already doing. So like they're building upon something that's already been great. And this is, I think they're the most tenured team in this year's tag league because they tagged in, oh no, it would be FWC.
Anacon.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they teamed in 2022, 2023, 2020. Yeah. So they're right up there, but they're constantly getting better. I mean, Azumi, as I say all the time, she's like a cheat code. She's one of the best wrestlers in the world. And Miyu Amasaki is really putting together as a singles wrestler, a tag wrestler, and even that aura. She's starting to get like a different aura about her the last few times. Not only that, but when we see Miyu Amasaki get a big win, she always picks up a child in the crowd. So
Absolutely.
Miyu Amasaki's for the kids. Rob Goodwin, she's for the kids. I thought the stuff with the Zumi and Kyoto Katatsu was great. The striking, the great stuff back and forth, the submission counters. Rana was terrific as well. We've seen Rana and Miyu Amasaki as a part of God's Eye and Neo Genesis, respectively. They have really great chemistry. Towards the end, you get a singles match with Azumi and Kyoto Katatsu. And to me, that was my favorite stuff about this match. This was my favorite match of the show. 3 3/4 stars. Azumi hitting that insane top rope double foot stomp to get the win.
Yeah, she drops like a stone as well during it. You can tell where some people they sort of let their knees buckle, so there's not a great deal. Like Rena's, for example, where she does the diving knee drop, it doesn't seem to be as impactful. But Azumi just doesn't seem to care where she lands, which is quite brutal. Mayu's is the same. Moving on, then Natsupoi and Aya Sakura against Saida and Momo Kogo. And I must admit, I was convinced that if Uriah Himi wasn't going to be fit for the tag league, we'd be seeing Saida and Momo Kogo. But no, we have got B Priestley back for the tag league. Momo Kogo dropping out of the tag league altogether. However, she will be in singles and things like that on the undercard of these shows. A little bit disappointed that we haven't got Momo Kogo in this tag league. I feel like she's someone that really benefits from having that spotlight. But again, I thought she was great here. And again, whenever she is given that tap on the shoulder, she's great. And again, she had really good chemistry with both Natsupoi and Aya Sakura here, Matt.
I wonder if with her not being in the tournament, she tweeted out about how like she's so heartbroken that she's not in the tournament. That's going to build more sympathy to Momo Kogo. Like, is it a blessing in disguise where people are
Maybe.
just like, we want to get behind Momo Kogo, and then eventually it adds, maybe she gets a new blood championship or an artist championship with, when Hana comes back, or if they do Momo Kogo, B Priestley and Saida, maybe they are the team that take the belts off Hate. That's a possibility. That's a point. Aya Sakura, we talked about them a little bit ago, buddy. This is basically their preview tag against Bob Mama Banana. But instead of going against a banana, they're going up against a gorilla. And what do you feed a gorilla? A banana. I didn't even mean to do that.
Look at that. Look at
even a broken clock, is right twice a day. This was great stuff. The stuff with it, this kind of paired off almost into two singles matches where you had Aya and Saida, the two hard hitters. Like we've seen this before. Chop, kick, like really, really. I believe they're in the same bracket in the 5-star Grand Prix, but their styles work really well together. And then the high-speed style of Natsupoi and Momo Kogo. And I understand why B Priestley's in there. B Priestley's a bigger star than Momo Kogo, and you have to fly her back over from the United States to Japan. And I love B Priestley. I would have just loved to see Saeed and Momo Kogo in the tag league together because we've seen them tag up pretty much on every house show since Hana's gotten hurt, and we're really impressed by them. Regardless, Saeed is great here. Momo Kogo is terrific. Natsupoi gives a lot to Momo Kogo. Ultimately, though, it is, as you said, buddy. Hey, Aya Sakura, congratulations on winning that belt. Here's a chop, a lariat, and a brainbuster. Saeed disposing of the high kick angel with the brainbuster. My second favorite match from the show. 3 3/4 stars.
We then got our semi-main event, God's Eye versus Mavida Loca. Kira Kuragane, as I mentioned before, eating another loss, this time at the hands of Hina. What were your thoughts on this, man? What were your thoughts of Saki Kashima apparently getting a little bit of confidence, stepping up to Bozil? Admittedly, she was behind a shield of God's Eye, but still said some threatening things to Bozilla.
It's a step in the right direction, right, buddy? You can either
absolutely
you even if it's a baby step forward, it's a step forward. Better than standing still or running, running to the hills, running for your life, as Bruce Dickinson says. This is really great because you had a little bit of mixing of what we're kind of seeing in the tag league with the rival Tokyo Towers versus Suzu and Rina and Akira and Bozilla. It's Hazuki Aoki. I'm so impressed with her. Again, she's one I haven't seen too much of her stuff outside of Stardom, but I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing. I thought her and Hina had a really great combination. Rina and Tomoka, we only saw them a little bit. That's a match I really, really want to see. Ultimately, I think they did a great job flushing out the factions, where once you peel off the layers of this match, it really comes down to the comedic stuff of Bozilla, I want to kill you, to Saki Kashima. Saki Kashima was like, I don't know if I want that to happen to me. I really don't want it to happen.
I'm not convinced.
Yeah, and it's like that if you remember the movie Wayne's World from a generation ago, where it's like, who's trying to kill you? I don't know, but they better not. Like that's what Saki Kashima. It's like, I'm gonna kill you. You better not. Ultimately, though, really fun stuff. 3.5 stars. It's always nice seeing the factions kind of intermingle, and you kind of get to see these mini singles matches that we will see somewhere down the line. Good sir.
And then finally, your main event. The first time, really, that Saya Kamitani and Momo Watanabe have faced off ahead of Crimson Nightmare. I feel like the only other time we've seen that was when they opened the show in Himeji. When they uploaded the full match to YouTube, I believe they were teaming with the two rookies. One teamed with them and Shiba, one teamed with Kikyo. But how much fuel did this add to the fire ahead of Crimson Nightmare, Matt? And obviously, this is a match that both Saya and Momo, I'd say, picketed for President Taro Okada during Korakuen, but pretty much just said, this is happening, isn't it? And Taro Okada went, sure, okay, why not? And that was pretty much the booking that led to this match.
This was fun. Again, I understand we didn't get enough Saya versus Momo to gaslight for there, but again, we'll talk about Crimson Nightmare when Momo said, I'm not stopping until I come back and win that World of Stardom Championship against you, Saya." So maybe there's somewhere there. Maybe that's we're just kind of we're building blocks, like your book coming out in about 3 weeks' time, which you can get, I believe, on Amazon. Rob, do I have that right?
Yes,
I'm on a roll here, buddy.
You
I'm on
are,
a
mate. Look at you.
I'm sick. Yeah, I'm gonna crash as soon as we're done with this. This was a loads of fun, right? Because you start with Saya and Momo, which I thought was really good, and then you get a wild brawl. We're like, of course you get a wild brawl because it's hate versus hate. My one hang up on this was I had to keep looking back at my notes because I didn't know who was on whose team. I'm like, why is Tor and Ruaka beating up each other? I'm like, oh, why is Zeus and Rina beating up each other? Oh yeah, that's right. And I'm like, Fuki and Death, what team is she on? Because obviously Fuki and Death, Konami and Rina are the artist champions. So to me, I knew Saya was on one side and Momo was on the other. It kept getting confusing to me. That's nobody's fault of my own. But this was really fun. You had the interminglings of the faction, who was going to out cheat who was going to outbreak the rules who, and then you would come back to Momo and Saya, which didn't make me more anticipated for their match a little bit. But to be honest, like you know me, dude, I'm not greedy. I like everything. Somo, Saya and Momo. I don't need just give it to me. Just give it to me. I was super pumped for the match. Just added a little bit fuel to the fire. Ending in a time limit draw was kind of a little odd thing. Like you couldn't have like Rina take the fall or Azusa Inaba take the fall. Like I think if Momo would have pinned Azusa Inaba, it would have, put Momo up to the, hey, guess what? This is the team you put together, and I beat that team. It would have helped Momo out a little bit more. Not the end of the world. 3 3/4 stars. A really fun match. That again, you'll never really see Tora and Ruaka on opposite sides. You're never really going to see Rina and Konami on opposite sides. So it was really fun stuff just to see how the factions were going to intermingle with each other.
Yeah, we'll sort of give a grading, if you like, to the feud itself between Saya and Momo Watanabe, because I think if you isolate the match itself away from that, obviously that was very, very good, the match itself, and obviously it's led to great matches that were gained towards the end of the year and at the start of the new year. But the feud between the pair and the build, I think, could definitely have used some work and some more opportunities to really build. Because again, even following this match, I believe the post-match angle or the post-match sort of talking on the microphone boiled down to, I'm going to be your nightmare. No, I'm going to be your nightmare. And I feel like there's a lot more that they could have plumbed the depths of. There was no real mention of their Queen's Quest stuff together and their history together. Stardom is in a lucky position now with, 15 years worth of history, that you have got that big back catalogue that you can plumb into and say, right, okay, this is the history that we've got together.
Right. First of all, Walker Stu did a great job talking about
Walker did a brilliant job of it. Yes,
so good. I forgot that they kept saying, "I'm your nightmare." No, I'm the nightmare, and it's Crimson Nightmare. Do you think they missed two big things? Not hiring Alice Cooper to sing "Welcome to My Nightmare," and hiring Robert Englund to do a Freddy Krueger thing for the Nightmare on Elm Street or whatever street that Oda Ward is on. I mean, come on, let's put that's. A lot of people are complaining the buildup wasn't correct. You could have done more build. They're not looking at. We should have got Alice Cooper,
absolutely,
Robert Englund. By the way, Robert Englund, by the way, just got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame on Halloween. So congratulations to one of my favorite slasher actors, Robert Englund. But yeah, what the heck? Hire Alice Cooper. Hire Robert Englund. What are we doing here? They don't see the picture like we do, Rob. They don't. No. That might be a good thing.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm not sure that's a bad thing, Matt, to be fair, mate. Where's all of Bushiroad's money gone? Well, Matt staged a concert outside that stars just Alice Cooper and Robert England, weirdly. Right, let's get into it then. The main event of what we're going to be talking about today is Crimson Nightmare 2025, the pay-per-view from the 3rd of November 2025 from Ota Ward City Gymnasium in Tokyo. A couple of things just to note here. Hazuki returning to action on this card after missing shows due to her and Koguma's participation on a run of CMLL shows in Mexico starting on the 17th of October. B. Priestley also returns to action on the show after being home back in the United States since the September 27th Korakuen Hall show. In terms of the attendance itself, then, so the announced attendance was 2,490. So 12.82% decrease from the previous show at the venue, which, if you remember, was 2,856 for the 5-star Grand Prix final in August. But that was Stardom's highest ever show attendance at Ota Ward. It's the 3rd highest that Stardom have bought in, when including Natsupoi and Soriano's 10th anniversary show, having run the building 15 times. It's the 5th highest attendance at the building this year. So of any company, with there being 18 shows in total, this show beat out both of New Japan's G1 Climax dates at the venue and New Year Dash earlier in the year as well, just to give you some indication of this. There were seats still available. As I mentioned, 2,856 for the 5-star Grand Prix final was one that was slated to be a sellout. So just to give you some indication there. So let's go through the results then. 4-way match. Rian defeated Ron Yagami, Kikyo Furusawa, and Fukigen Death with a reverse pinfall attempt in 6 minutes and 18 seconds. Rian pinning Fukigen Death in 6 minutes and 18 seconds. We then had what can only be described as 3-way 15-woman carnage as the Cosmic Angels team of Natsupoi, Soriano, Sayaka, Kurori, Yuna Mizumori, and Aya Sakura defeated the God's Eye team of Syuri, Hina, Amisori, Lady C, and Kyoka Katatsu, and the Mavida Loka team of Suzu Suzuki, Itsuki Aoki, Rini Yamashita, and Akira Kuragane, and Emma Maishima with Soriano, pinning Amisori, of all people, with the special pottering in 11 minutes and 33 seconds. We then got another momentum-building win for O2 Line. They defeated Rice or Bread, Hanako, and Waka Tsukiyama with Azumi, pinning Waka with the Azumi Sushi in 8 minutes and 21 seconds. 6-woman tag team action. The Stars team of Saya Ida, Momokogo, and the returning B. Priestley defeated the Hate team of Natsuko Tora, Rina, and Ruaka. B. Priestley gained the pinfall win over Rina with the Plan B in 9 minutes and 55 seconds. Of course, getting revenge over Rina for her 5-star Grand Prix elimination. Singles match, Bozilla defeated Saki Kashima via verbal submission. Saki Kashima clearly studying her Megaton tapes in 11 minutes and 29 seconds. High-speed championship match, Mei Seira, the champion, defeated Hazuki with the checkmate in 10 minutes and 58 seconds. We have apparently reverted back to the old rule set. That was seemingly confirmed by Walker Stewart, which is the only time it was mentioned. So there we go. The old rule set has gone. No more 2 out of 3 falls match. Semi-main event, Wonder of Stardom Championship match. Konami defeated Starlight Kid via referee stoppage in 21 minutes and 15 seconds to become the 25th Wonder of Stardom champion at her 6th time of asking. It's her first singles title in the company. And then in your main event, the World of Stardom Championship and New Japan Strong Women's Championship double title match, Saya Kamitani successfully retained both belts, defeating Momo Watanabe with a spinning Star Crusher in 21 minutes and 31 seconds. Matt, let's start with the opener then. Rian winning the 4-way, getting a pinfall victory over an Artist of Stardom champion, no less. REXV, the next in line for those Artist of Stardom championships.
I've been saying for a while, buddy, like, let's do Rion, Hanako, and Waka. I think that's the way to go. We've been seeing, I mean, for years. I mean, obviously, you've been covering Stardom since 2019. I've been covering since 2021. Whenever we get these three ways or four ways on these pay-per-views and Fuking Death's there, you're like, you know what's going to happen. But lately, it seems like the last 5 or 6 months, not only is she not winning these, she's the one eating the L. I don't know. Has time passed the Space Clown, Rob? I don't know. I don't know. That's something we have to dig deeper into. But
Yeah,
regardless,
absolutely.
I thought this match was great. You have, the young crop here of Stardom, and then Fuking Death, allegedly Carrie Oniyama, is kind of the glue that holds us all together. She's probably the one putting the spots in a certain place, so this way they get the most out of it. You have, you get some really great stuff to start with Kiki Orion and Rana, and then Fuking Death. Just she comes in, she does her comedic stuff. And then she takes advantage. She tries to do the death, fucking death to everybody, even including the referee. And the referee gets out of the way. I thought that was funny. And then ultimately, we basically just turn up the volume. Everybody gets in close near falls, and it is Rion reversing the O'Connor roll to get the win. 3.25 stars. Fun stuff. You had high speed wrestling, hard hitting wrestling, your comedy stuff, and then the clown eating an L that may possibly lead to a future Artist of Stardom champion for one Stone Cold Rion.
And let's not forget, there's a couple of Corrigan Hall shows between now and Dream Queendom. We have still got to have title matches in the interim as well. So I do wonder if that's potentially a main event for a Corrigan down the road. I know we've got one coming up in November, and then of course we've got one on Christmas Eve, I believe, and then a New Blood event on Christmas Day. So potentially that could be your Christmas Eve main event. Of course, an EXV title challenge could include Xena if it's Xena that is coming back tomorrow as we record. So it could potentially be her as well. But yeah, a good win for Rian, definitely. Matt, I'll be perfectly honest, I have no idea where to start with this match. This was just all over the place.
I'll take it from here, buddy. This shouldn't have worked, but it did. 15 people, three different factions.
15 people in a ring.
Three different factions and Emma. And I say that because with all love, because Emma's not part of me, La Vida Loca. But maybe that's where she'll go. Maybe that's where she'll go. It's just like when this match finished, and again, less than 12 minutes, 15 people, not enough time to tell their story. And when this match finished, I watched this live. And by no means was this like match of the year, but I'm like, of course this worked. It's Stardom. Not only that, the Cosmic Angels with Natsupoi and Syuri Anu. They're the ones that work the really fast pace. Like they're the ones with the teamwork. And then you're throwing Yuna and Aya, Sayaka. They were terrific. Match starts off with Kyoto Katatsu and Aya Sakura. Styles make fights. They have those, the Muay Thai background, the kickboxing background. That's where we're starting there. Akira, I thought all of her stuff was great. We get a little bit of Syuri versus Suzuki, which I'm really excited because they're in the same blocks in the tag league. The one thing coming off this match, and Andy Header, as soon as he watched this match, he texted me. He's like, I have no idea how 15 people in a 12-minute match worked, but it worked. And I want to see Syuri versus Arina Yamashita. I'm like, I know. I thought of the same thing. Obviously, we know they're doing Syuri versus Saya Kamitani at the Tokyo Dome, but like, can we get maybe one or two title defenses in between there where Syuri's just like, I'm going to be a fighting champion. Let me defend this against somebody. I want to see Syuri versus Rina Yamashita. That's what I came out of this match really, really hoping to see. Ultimately, though, Soriano catching Ami Soy with the special Potter ring for the 3 cut. You don't want to see that, buddy? You just gave me a dirty look.
No, I'm listening.
Oh, maybe I thought maybe your football team was eating.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, we played yesterday and we won. It's fine.
There you go. Who'd you beat? Did you beat Darren's team?
No. Oh God, no. I'm not looking forward to that. I'm not looking forward to the podcast after that happens because they will beat us. But no, we beat Athletic Bilbao from Spain.
Oh, I was going to say Darren's team. They're probably not going to show up. You guys will win by forfeit. Speaking of forfeit, now really great stuff with Soriano catching Amisor with the special Potter ring. 3 3/4 stars. Again, I have no idea how this stuff works because one misstep, one going to the ring too early, or missing your spot from one of these 15 people. It's the domino effect. Stardom is just, I've never seen any other wrestling company in the history of wrestling do these matches and do them to the degree that Stardom does. I know when this card was announced, the rest of the card, everyone's like, this is lazy booking. They just threw 15 people in a match just to flush out the card. Maybe they're right. Maybe they're wrong. But I thoroughly enjoyed this, buddy. thoroughly enjoyed this. 3 3/4 stars. Really fun stuff. With Soriano getting the win, and then we find out why, good sir.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, following this, Risa Sera came out, made a surprise appearance, and asked that Suzu Suzuki be her final opponent on her retirement show on the 12th of January, which I think makes all the sense in the world. I think that's going to be a really nice, emotional match once they've beaten the absolute hell out of each other with everything that's not nailed down. That show, by the way, I believe is at Corrigan Hall. Yes, it is. 12th of January, Corrigan Hall. So that's going to be a great event, a great celebration of Risa Sera. Yeah, one thing that always really intrigues me about matches like this is how do you block them? As the wrestlers inside this ring with so many, like it's all with a 6-woman tag, there's a lot of women in the ring. And obviously, you've got 20 minutes, right? We'll do this together. We'll do this together. We'll pair up here. We'll do that. In terms of 15 women in a ring for 12 minutes, how on earth do you block the different parts of this match? Is it a case of, is it a case of feels? Because I don't feel like with this many women, you can just rock up and do this off the cuff. This has to have been scripted relatively meticulously, which just astounds me with, again, the sheer volume of wrestlers in the match. And again, you've pointed out, Matt, that some people have pointed out that this is lazy booking. And you look at the length of the card. This is one of the shorter pay-per-view cards Stardom have run. And ask yourself your opinion of this pay-per-view, whether you really enjoyed this pay-per-view, whether you dislike this pay-per-view, whether you think it's one of the best shows of the year or the worst shows of the year. Would additional matches as opposed to this one, would that have helped? It's an interesting thought.
To answer your question again, I more and I could be wrong. I don't think I am. This match is being put together A to Z. That's not like, hey, we'll call it out there, kid. That's real. It's tough to do on a singles match. It's really hard to do on a tag match. It's next to impossible to do when you have 6 to 15 people. My guess is, and again, if it makes sense, it's really simple because you only have one beat. Like if you're Hina, I know I come in after Syuri hits the head kick to Rina. And then Aya comes in, I duck the clothesline, I hit a drop kick, I turn around, Yuna hits me with a lariat, and then I'm out. And then, that signals for Sayaka and Lady C to come in or whatever it is. You go by beats. You just need to know what's the spot that I need to go in before the ring and then before I need to hit the ring, and what's the spot that comes in after. Because I've been in matches before where it's like, this wrestling only needs to know these 4 spots. Well, they want to know everything. Like now you're going to confuse yourself. Like you're trying to confuse yourself. Like obviously if you want to put something in the match where you think that might help your partner or your opponent, that's fine. But just remember your beat in the match to make it simple. So it could be confusing. At the same time, it could be simple. But at the same time, if Hina is supposed to come into the ring after Emma hits the drop kick to Syuri, and instead she comes in the ring after Soriano hits the Frankensteiner to Suzu Suzuki, then it's just like, wait a minute, Hina wasn't supposed to come in here. And then whoever the next signal is for the next part of the match, it throws it all off. So again, one little thing can throw this entire match off, but when it doesn't, it goes like this. Again, I thought this was great. This is a match that I'm going to remember forever. Probably no, not really, but 15 people, it can get really confusing. And the fact that it didn't just goes to show you just how talented and disciplined this roster is. Again, 3 3/4 stars for me. I thought this was a really, really fun match.
As I mentioned, O2 line getting a momentum building victory ahead of the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League against a team I must admit I thought were a shoo-in for this year's tournament, but apparently not. Azumi getting the win over Waka Tsukiyama with the Azumi Sushi. When we did our predictions, Matt, I think this was the one that was the lock of the night. I think we assumed that this was going to be the win. Saying that, we also thought that there was going to be a match later on the night, which was a lock, and we both got that wrong. So, what were your thoughts on this?
Again, this was great. Waka and Hanako, they're building themselves back up after losing the New Blood Championship. Again, O2 line, they've always been really good, especially like in 2023 until now. But like I mentioned on their show from the Chiba show, from the first, and then this one, they're adding more stuff on to what they have. Azumi's on a completely another level, one of the best wrestlers in all of wrestling this year, just on an absolute roll. They're just constantly adding on to more great stuff. The teamwork, just the positioning's tighter. everything they do just makes more sense. They're adding in more psychology, more teamwork, more selling to build up the opponents. And you get this really great closing stretch where it looked like Hanako was going to use her size and strength to dominate O2 line. And Azumi and Miyu Amasaki are just like, no, we got this. We can't match Hanako in strength or power. But what we can do is 2-on-1 advantage and use tag team. And they do that one spot where it's basically Azumi helps the pop-up DDT to Hanako that basically takes her out of the match. We get some great back and forth with Waka and Azumi. And again, Waka is doing all these high-speed pins and almost catching Azumi. But again, Azumi, in my opinion, the greatest high-speed champion of all time, was like, oh no, Waka, I got you. She rolls through and then rolls up Waka for the Azumi Sushi. Again, O2 line's always been really good, but these two matches that we talked about, something really special about O2 line going into this Goddess tournament. 3 3/4 stars. Thoroughly enjoyed this one.
We then saw the return of B. Priestley to a Stardom ring, and potentially, Matt, we could be seeing another challenger for the Artist of Stardom champions. Obviously, Rena getting pinned here by B. We saw Rian pin Fukigen Death earlier in the night. Potentially, are we seeing one of these challenge at Korakuen, one of these challenging at Dream Queendom? I mean, probably not, because we now know that Konami is the Wonder of Stardom champion, but potentially do we see Hate unseated before Dream Queendom?
It's a possibility, Robin. What if on Dream Queendom we have basically the last 3 remaining members of Star? Again, maybe if Hana comes back, we do Hana and Konami. We'll get to that in a moment. But I wouldn't be upset if your opener for Dream Queendom is B. Priestley, Momo Kogo, and Saida challenging Waka, Hanako, and Rion for the championship, and then you give Momo Kogo the pin, and she wins her first championship in Stardom on Dream Queendom. What a great way that would be for Momo Kogo to cap off a year. Again, considering the fact that everybody feels so bad for her because she's heartbroken because she's left out of the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. There's no fault of her own because Uriah Himi's injured. So I think that would be a great way to start off that show, your feel-good moment. Yeah, I mean, I think the next 2 challengers need to be in one way or another, EXV and Stars. So again, this is kind of the way to go about it. Not only that, but you had your tag champs in this match as well. So is it Saya and B challenging somewhere down the road to be in my 2000? Is it, even though they're not a tag team in the tag league, and we mentioned it before, they've been a tag league on all these house shows since Hana got injured. Do we see Saida and Momo Kogo challenging BMI 2000? And it doesn't have to be at a Korakuen. If you want to maybe get tickets up on, one of the other house shows between now and Dream Queendom, that's a good possibility as well. There's a lot that you can do here. B. Priestley's back. I'm such a massive fan of hers. She worked really well here with Tor and Ruwaka, and her and Rena had a really great match on that Korakuen show in the 5-star Grand Prix, the playoff show. I thought this was a really great back and forth match, but eventually B. Priestley basically almost like outsmarting Rena and able to have enough time to hit that plan B for the 3 count, 3.5 stars.
I think there's 2, at the very least 2 Korakuens before Dream Queen, and it wouldn't surprise me if we see Hate retain against EXV and then lose the belts to Stars, and then we potentially see Stars versus EXV at Dream Queendom for the artist belts, if they even put the artist belts on the card. Depends where they go. They haven't tended to put the artist belts on the bigger shows. So again, depends how they're feeling, if they're struggling for matches, which I've got a feeling they're probably not going to be.
Not only that, Rob, but you need to put probably at least 1 championship match on the 1-3 shows, because there's 2 of them. So I don't think you're going to have Kamitani defend the red belt, or if Soriano wins the red belt, which I don't think she's going to, have a championship match just a couple days after. So maybe you hold off that artist match for one of those matches on 1-3. Who knows? Who knows, good sir?
Moving on, then, we move on to our first real featured match of the night. Saki Kashima bravely facing off against Bozilla. And by bravely, I mean she literally ran off at one point from the match. Now, I question the friendship of Syuri during this, because Bozilla lay down in the middle of the ring and said to Saki, "Come and pin me." Okay. Now, there's a scene in Scream 2, for those who are fans of the Scream franchise, where there's a moment where the guy, or the ghost face, he's been knocked out in a car. And for whatever convoluted reason, the only way to get out of the car is to climb over this ghost mask and out of the front door of the car. And obviously there's a moment like, is he going to wake up? Is he not going to wake up? And then they both get out of the car, and then Sydney has to go back because she needs to see who it is. And that very much fit the vibe of what was going on here. Bozilla was lying down, and from anyone that has ever seen a wrestling match before knows what Bozilla's doing. Saki is like, no, I'm having none of that. I know exactly what's like. Syuri, her leader in God's eyes, like, go on, you could sneak a pinfall here. Go on. Lady C's like absolutely going for it. Yeah, go on, Saki. That's not the friendship you need. That's not the friendship you need. Then just to watch Bozilla kick out at one of them, beat her ass for 10 minutes. Unacceptable friendship, unacceptable leadership.
You know what? I see your point. I'm going to respectfully disagree. I think they believed in Saki Kashima enough. If you go in there, you face your fears. You face your fears. How funny would it have been if Saki just like pinned her?
It like it had to be the end of the match.
Like, no, and it was like a Sanka pin, 1-2 kick out, shoe pin, 1-2 kick out, one, and it's just like a minute and a half of Bozilla like barely getting out of the kick out, and eventually she gets caught. And then at the end, Bozilla's like, Bozilla thinks she's gonna explode, and she's like, all right, you got me, code of honor. That they hug, flowers come in, and then like they have like a rock opera. This was fun. There's a couple spots where some things were mistimed. Like there's a top rope Rana that could have been went really, really wrong. And Bozilla saved a lot of things that could have went wrong because like timing was off on certain things, and Bozilla was really careful on not having anybody get hurt. So it goes to show you what a pro Bozilla is. But this match was ultimately be about the story, the funny stuff. There's a lot of really funny stuff. Bozilla doing a dive. Didn't see that happening in this match.
Absolutely wiped out God's Eye as well.
Well, there's 84 members, so I guess if you're going to do it on one faction, you know
Big
what I mean?
cushion.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not kidding. This was a whole lot of fun. It was a whole lot of fun. And I thought they finished the match was absolutely hilarious because we weren't sure which way it was going to go. Because I think I had Saki Kashima winning. I think you had Bozilla winning.
I did have Bozilla winning.
And I think the best part about the match was Saki goes up for the power bomb. She taps out. And Bozilla's like, all right, I won. And then she power bombs her over the top rope on the God's Eye. Because if Bozilla was just going to be like what Minoru Suzuki did at Grand Destiny, was like, I guess the match is over. I'm going to have to put you down. But that doesn't fit Bozilla's character at all. Like, I don't think she really cares about winning as much as she cares about hurting Saki. So that made perfect sense. It's like, okay, well, I had you up for the power bomb, but since you tapped out, I'm going to make it worse. Instead of dropping you on the canvas, I'm going to throw you to the floor and knock out all the members of your faction for a second time. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. 3.5 stars, fun enough stuff, Rob. But you made mention when you just did the quick results, Saki Kashima studying her best Megaton tapes. We kind of made mention that the possibility of maybe Stardom and Marigold working. And I was thinking maybe you do Thunder Rock versus Momo Oz. That's not what you do. Megaton and Saki Kashima.
See who can submit first.
That's that. You know what would be really funny is if Saki Kashima does the Kishi Kasai, because it's technically a double armbar, and the referee counts 1, 2, and then he goes up for 3, and Megaton taps out. Because technically, she's in a grapevine armbar.
Absolutely,
that'd be really cool.
I'd love that.
What, I won via submission, not pinfall. I think that's a genius finish. 3.5 stars, fun stuff. Again, you making Bozilla look like an absolute killer, which she is. That's what you want. The fact that now we're adding dives into here, and the fact that she's doing the Mike Awesome, shout out to the late great Mike Awesome powerbomb over the top rope. I'm all for it, buddy. Love me some Bozilla. Saki Kashima here was great as well.
Brought out the moonsault again as well, Bozilla,
right.
Which was pretty impressive. I think when you've got such a size disparity between Saki Kashima and Bozilla, you're always going to have those issues. And I think a lot of those issues did stem from Saki Kashima just not being able to get Bozilla into certain positions because of the size difference. I think you're absolutely right. I think Bozilla covered very, very well for a lot of those moves. That Hurricane Rana from the top rope, I think they managed to cover for very, very well. But overall, I thought they managed to do very, very well with what they were given. Hopefully this leads to bigger stuff for Bozilla. I don't know where that is at the moment. Maybe she is someone that could do or have a challenge at one of the top belts over that 3-1 shows. Maybe we will see. I certainly wouldn't be opposed to that. But I think she needed this win, especially with Mavida Loca eating a lot of losses. Just FYI, because I know we were talking about this a couple of podcasts ago in terms of Bozilla's record. Bozilla has now lost more matches than she's won in Stardom. So in terms of singles, she's currently 4-3-2. In tags, she's 4-8-0. In multi-women, she's now 6-7-1. And this, and I know it's the numbers, and you can sort of make stats say what you want and things like that. She's a dominant European powerhouse. She needs to be winning more matches. So this was very much needed, this singles victory. And I think she needs to go on something of a little bit of a tear if you want to continue to build her as a monster. Moving on then, Mei Seira versus Hazuki. The victory for Mei Seira moves her above Hazuki in the all-time successful title defenses in a single reign, moves her to second in the all-time list, level with Mayu Iwatani on 9. It's her first singles victory over Hazuki. And Matt, my big question, because this was I flip-flop between this being my second favorite match of the night. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. I'm a big fan of how Hazuki is clearly trying to add more lucha inspiration to her offense due to that CMLL sort of mini excursion. There was lots of moments where I was like, oh, okay, she must have picked that up in Mexico. The sort of Naito fake out from the suicide dive that she did was very tranquilo. Why are we not pushing her? Like, what has she done backstage to someone that she comes out brand new gear? For a start, I mean, we talk about aura. Jesus Christ, she's one of the most over people on the entire roster. She
has been for a while.
Fantastic in the ring, hits it out of the park every single time she's given the bat, and every single time she just seems to be hamstrung or stymied or whatever it is, and it's quite frustrating to watch. Because, okay, she cut the promo, if you remember, in Korakuen Hall and said, in my 10th year of wrestling, I am going to win the white belt. And then lost the only white belt match she had. And it's like, okay, maybe it's coming the next year, and it didn't. And to be fair, hasn't been anywhere near the white belt scene since. And I don't see what the downside is to putting the belt on Hazuki. I just don't, because again, it's not, and again, I know we don't like using the phrase deserved. And I know that I'm sort of skating over what was a really good match between Mei Seira and Hazuki, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. I just find it baffling that you have Hazuki on your roster, even if she is a freelancer at the moment with Koguma. I find it baffling that you aren't doing more with her, especially as a singles competitor, because she's so good. Every single time she's in a singles match, it's appointment viewing. You know you are going to get one of the best matches on the card from a Hazuki singles match. She was a huge miss in the 5-star Grand Prix this year, and it was a really good 5-star Grand Prix, but she was a huge miss in it. I mean, I obviously, you know, with the social media thing, you've got to think how much of this is kayfabe. But what was the only match of the top 4 that didn't have one of the fancy posters? Hazuki and Mei Seira. Bozilla and Saki had one. The Wonder title match had one. The World of Stardom title match had one. Now, obviously, in a vacuum, that's just, you know, it's by the by. Hazuki was in Mexico. Maybe they just didn't promote it because of that. But looking back, you think, well, actually, maybe Hazuki is legitimately frustrated with a booking. It would make sense as to why she decided she wanted to go out and be a freelancer with Koguma. Because I'd be frustrated. I'm a Hazuki fan. You're a Hazuki fan. We are frustrated with the booking of it. I don't understand it at all, really. And then again, you know, she's had a great match with Mei Seira here. There was one spot that was a little bit hairy, which again, I think might have been a Hurricane Rana. Maybe we just need to stop doing Hurricane Ranas. But again, just if anything, it just emphasized to me that you have an absolute gem on your roster that we talk often about treading water. I don't think there's anyone on the Stardom roster that treads more water than Hazuki. And, well, apart from Momo Watanabe, which we'll be talking about shortly.
Yeah, there's kind of no reason for it. You know, this speaks about Hazuki's not a freelancer because every time she wrestles on these shows, they have Stardom.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
she's portrayed as a freelancer if she's
Yeah,
not a freelancer.
that I get. She's under the Stardom contract, and maybe they're just like, hey, I'm not doing anything with her, so hey, may as well make a couple extra bucks on the side and get this name out more. But yeah, you're right. They did do a lot of lucha. They locked up on the right. They locked up on the right, which is like, ooh, like, and that's the first thing I picked up on it. And Hazuki tried to work on the right style for a little bit, and it seemed like her and May were getting kind of confused. And then it was like, okay, let's go back to the style that we know, the high speed style.
It is her first match back from Japan, from Mexico as well, so a little bit of that might have just been muscle memory from how she's been wrestling.
Yeah, that's a possibility. But like, again, this match was really good. They got going. Yeah, the great high speed spots. I mean, again, they had a great match at Supreme Fight 2024, the high speed championship that went to the 15-minute time limit. And again, kudos to Walker Stewart for saying that after Yuna Mizumori said, hey, I want 15 minutes, May Sarah said all these matches are now 15 minutes. I'm like, thank you, Walker, because nobody else has explained
Nobody else
that.
told us that. We were waiting for that first fall. We were like,
Yep. Appreciate that, Wax. I'm like, oh, another reason why we need more English coverage on Stardom. Bushi Road, let us know how to get a hold of us. You know how to get a hold of us. We will tell you at the end of the show how to get a hold of us. We will help. We're here to help out. There's this one spot where Hazuki hits a second rope double stomp, and then May Sarah, and then she goes for a third one, but May Sarah stops her. She hits the top rope Hurricanrana. That was the one that got a little crazy. Hazuki comes back with a huge pump kick to May Sarah. That was some great stuff. And then they're going back and forth with more high-speed action, and they're trying the quesadora, rolling up back and forth. Then May Sarah gets the advantage, gets the waist lock, and just launches Hazuki on the back of her neck. I'm like, that's what we need. More May Sarah throwing German suplexes. That's
Hazuki was risking her life, mate, on some of this selling. Like, the way she was taking some of these suplexes, dude, like, I was like, do you not understand how important your neck is in everyday life, Hazuki? Like, there was 3, I think, where she took them and she leapt into them and she's landed like right on the base of it. And I'm like, oh my God, what is she doing?
She made sure May Sarah definitely got over. Again,
Absolutely.
an unselfish wrestler. This is what you want as one of your big champions of the company. Hazuki hits a top rope senton for a 2 count, and then she goes for the brain buster. May Sarah gets out, and she hits the checkmate, Rob. I'm like, wow, we've seen she hit the checkmate more times this in the last like 5 weeks than she has in probably the last 2 years. Hits the checkmate. That's not enough. Hazuki kicks out. May Sarah goes for the goodbye piece. Hazuki's able to get out of the goodbye piece, and then she hits a reverse Hurricanrana onto May Sarah, and then Hazuki goes for a big pump kick. May ducks out of that, hits the goodbye piece, and then hits the checkmate, Rob, twice in one match. Twice in one match. Unbelievable. A really, really great match. 4.25 stars. Excellent stuff. I think I like their match back at Supreme Fight just a little bit better.
Yeah,
but regardless, excellent stuff. And you talked about Hazuki coming in, new look. And not like any of her other looks have been less than A+. Like, even when they did the Dream Tag Festival and she teamed with Tora to basically like, hey, remember when I was part of a Wedo tie and I was your final match, or Hazuki was the final match when she retired before she came back. So she was kind of half stars, half a Wedo tie with that gear, and still looked great. All the FWC gear stuff looks great. And I remember a couple months ago, or actually the start of the 5-star Grand Prix, when we're like, man, we love Lady C, but those chaps need to go. And you're like, no wrestler looks good in chaps. I'm like,
I knew you were going to bring this up.
Hazuki's the exception to the rule. She's always had an A+ look. Every single look, whether she's a Wedo tie, stars, FWC, singles, she always looks like $1 million. Maybe this is her best look. I don't know. She checks every single box multiple times to be your top champion, right? Or at least the Wonder Champion. I understand we're in a different era because of Saya Kamitani. Like, there's nobody's taking that belt off for a while for obvious reasons. Again, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I get that. But like, you look at your Wonder Champion, right? You look at all the great Wonder Champions of years past, Kairi and Mayu and Io and Arisa and Momo and Saya Kamitani and Starlight Kid. Are they all great wrestlers? Is Suzuki a great wrestler? Yes. Can she get her an opponent over, even have her opponent look at the lights, have her opponent come out, even with the loss, looking better? Yes. Okay. Does she connect with the fans? Yes. Does she have great psychology? Yes. Is she intense? Yes. Does she know how to build a match? Yes. Does she know how to sell a match? Yes. Can she get the belt and the promotion and the match over? Yes, yes, and yes. You asked me a question when we started this segment, buddy. I don't have the answer. Like, what do we need to do to push Hazuki? I've been asked that question forever. And now she's over in the United States. She's over in Mexico. She's been over in Japan since 2017, 2018. She's over in every single continent and country she wrestles in. I don't know why we're not pulling the trigger. I don't. And again, maybe Rob, again, I'll never give. I know a lot of Hazuki fans like we've given up on it. We just want to see her wrestle. Maybe I always wait for the Dream Queendom, All Star Grand Queendom, or the show at the end of May in Fukuoka at the end of Golden Week to pull the trigger. So I'm not holding on hope, but she's one of the best wrestlers in the world. Can you imagine when if she was to get this big wonder run, get the machine behind her, and then we're getting long matches with Natsupoi, long matches with Starlight Kid, long matches with Soriano, long matches, run it back with Koguma. There's so much untapped matches for Hazuki, fresh matches with her. If she's the Wonder Champion, that one, you're gonna have a great match. Two, you're just gonna draw a lot of ice. Three, you're gonna make a lot of money. Four, you're gonna elevate her, the belt, the opponent, and the company in one match. Her and May Sarah run this back when Hazuki's Wonder Champion. Azumi. The only time we got Hazuki and Azumi over the last few years was in the Cinderella tournament. It went 3 minutes and had the craziest double over the top rope elimination in the history of pro wrestling.
Unnecessarily aggressive.
Like why? They had a 3-minute match like on an 18-card show. There and again, I'm not just saying this because I'm a Hazuki fan. I'm a massive Hazuki fan. Maybe one of the many reasons why Hazuki is my favorite wrestler in all of wrestling is the fact that they never pulled the trigger on it. It builds up sympathy. I talked about Momo Kogo building up. It builds up sympathy. Why aren't we doing anything with her? Why isn't Stardom doing anything with her? I just don't. She's one of the greatest Wonder of Stardom Championship matches wrestlers of all time, and she never held the belt. The Arisa match, the Kyrie match, the Io match, the Saya Kamitani match, the Momo match. That's my all-time favorite Wonder match. The Natsupoi match. She's one of the greatest Wonder of Stardom champion wrestlers of all time. Rob, she's never held it. That's wild. That's wild to me.
And then you look at the lineage, and there are people that you're like, well, Hazuki is on par with them. Why is she not in this lineage? Why have they not? Again, and then I was thinking, well, is it because she left and then came back? But she left and came back to Bushi Road. So
yeah,
again, I don't. I'm sure there is a reason that we are missing, but and again, it's the same sort of frustration that Momo Watanabe fans felt for God knows how long and are still feeling after the end of Crimson Nightmare. So I get it. I don't see what downside there is for Hazuki not to get the white belt. Now, there is a potential way that you could do this, but again, whereas with some wrestlers, you like fancy booking, you sort of see it happening. Fancy booking Hazuki for the white belt has sort of lost all of its joy because it isn't going to happen. She is being overtaken in the pecking order by the likes of, you look, Amisori is probably going to get a white belt run before Hazuki. And, rightly so. There's no disrespect to Amisori. Obviously, Hanan is going to get a white belt run before Hazuki. Azumi might well get a white belt run before Hazuki.
I'm not going to complain about that last one. I love
Hanan.
I love Ami. Sorry, but I think Hazuki deserves it more. The Azumi one, I won't lose any sleep over that.
Well, if Dream Queendom goes the way I think it might go, then there is a possibility we could have Hazuki versus Hanan with obviously all the history of stars. That could be the match at Fukuoka, maybe, and then Hazuki dethrones her at Fukuoka, maybe, and then Hazuki drops it back to her. I don't know. But again,
give her the Athena run.
Yeah, there is a real frustration there for her. But yeah, great match here. Great match.
Real quick, buddy, May Sarah. Let's talk about May Sarah. How great was she? I know we're focusing on Hazuki for all the reasons. May Sarah's on another level.
We are running this back for the CMLL Japan Women's Championship. It looks like
that's right.
So again, she's done really, really well with this belt. She is the linchpin of this division, and I don't feel like, aside from Yuna, there's not really the challenges for her. We were spoiled, really, as I've mentioned before, with the likes of Natsupoi, Starlight Kid, Azumi, and Koguma, where you could literally take any one of those four and you've got a really good high-speed towel match. And May Sarah has been doing really good work with the likes of Xena, which, again, is a match we often forget about. Was a great match with Yuna, with Momo Kogo, with Waka Tsukiyama, with all these different people. But again, she's another one that you could legitimately put in that white belt that white belt picture because she is so good. She's so, so good. And again, some of those moves that she was doing, some of the selling that she did for Hazuki's move, the sell from that Poison Rana and the big boot especially, where she basically did an entire 180 flip, was tremendous. And again, she's a very, very, very good wrestler. Really young as well, like offensively young. Like, look, how are you so talented at such a young age? It's so depressing. And speaking of age, I know that flipping back to Hazuki's only 28. Like, there is still time. Just doesn't feel that way. Moving on to the white belt and Starlight Kid. Reign ended 309 days. Konami becoming the 25th Wonder of Stardom champion at the 6th time of asking. Again, as I mentioned at the start, this is her first singles title run in the company. This is why I like leaving our reviews a couple of days before we start looking at it, because stuff comes out. Obviously, there was a lot of instant reaction to this, which was Konami. Really? She's the one that's dethroning Starlight Kid? And obviously there was a lot of people saying, well, Starlight Kid's run, it had a lot of legs left. However, with a couple of days sort of cooling off period, it actually turns out that Starlight is injured, which might have attributed a little bit to the booking of this match. Now, I must admit, and this is no disrespect to Konami, I love Konami, and you look at the emotion she had when she held that belt. That the moment her character broke, I was like, yeah, okay, she's earned it. I'm fine with this. I'm fine with this. I think it will probably be somewhat of a transitional run. But again, you look at that moment, she's the ice cold killer. She's stoic, she's aggressive. The moment she looked at that white belt and realized it was hers, after losing 6 times in a row for this belt, there was something that warms your heart. She looks up to the sky and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is really beautiful. Then she's Konami again, an absolute badass, and comes out in interviews talking about the fact that just throwing shade at Mina Shirakawa and Arisa, like full on healing it up, which is great. That aside, I was like, there's about 12 other wrestlers I would have thought we were going to see dethrone Starlight Kid before I would give it to Konami. However, you think Konami's now put Starlight Kid on the shelf, she's now put Hanan on the shelf. Stardom are obviously very, very adamant on putting the top belts on Hate. Hate now have 4 of Stardom's 7 main titles. It makes sense, I suppose, going into Dream Queendom, especially if it is Starlight Kid or Hanan that goes in against Konami to regain the belt. I think it will probably be Hanan as opposed to Starlight Kid. I know you aren't quite of that opinion, but I thought this match was great. This was my favorite match of the card. I said to you last week, I wonder if they're going to beat the Cinderella tournament match in terms of aggression, and they did. Konami upped it significantly, and actually this match was 75% Konami, and Starlight Kid was riding this storm out. And there was moments where Starlight Kid, she was still doing moves with the arm, but for the most part, the sell job from Starlight Kid was fantastic. Not being able to lock in the Black Tiger leg killer because of the arm, not being able to hit the Star Suplex because of the arm, and eventually just Konami just absolutely battering her to the point where she was just passed out. I thought that was a really good way for her to drop the belt. You can then argue, of course, that Starlight Kid never dropped the belt. She never submitted. It was a referee stoppage. Do I wish Starlight Kid was still champion? Yes, in an ideal world. However, again, I imagine this is setting the stage for a babyface to take the belt off Konami at Dream Queendom, which I imagine will probably be a returning Hanan.
Rob, since you've been covering and watching Stardom, is this, as far as the big 2 championship belts, the Wonder and the World, the red and the white, is this the biggest shock? Like, is this like, oh, like I didn't see this one, I thought would have been a lock. So I'm like, Starlight Kid's walking into Sumo Hall very much like Saya Kamitani as champion because they're the two biggest stars and they're holding the two biggest belts in the company.
Mm.
Again, maybe Sherry's a 3, and then Anu Poi, you can float them in there. But I think a lot of people, including me and you, agree that the biggest star is obviously Kamitani, and we both think that kids too. So when this was like once she locked in, it was like a modified version of the Triangle Lantern. She basically almost had like an Indian deathlock and then rolled into it. And I'm like, I thought Starlight Kid was going to win this match, but I'm like, that's got to be the finish because of how it got built. Like I can always feel big finishes coming. I'm like, that's got to be the finish. But when it happened, I was like, didn't see that coming. So to me, since I've been covering Stardom since 2021, this is the biggest shock. Because even like I thought Utami was gonna walk out of the first Dream Queendom as champion. Then when Sherry won, I'm like, I'm not that shocked. Like we've seen the championship change, and one of the many things I love about Stardom is they'll do the occasional, more often not longer run, 6 months to a year and change, which I like that because it basically builds up your champion. When this finish happened, I was like, didn't see that coming. The first thing I thought was probably right as soon as the belt went to Konami, I was like, I know what the main event for Dream Queendom is. It's Starlight Kid versus Saya Kamitani, clearly. And then half an hour later, like, oh no, Matt, it's not. I'm like, oh,
No, it is not.
I'll take that, which is one of the many great things about Stardom is just line them up because there's so many great main eventers that as long as it makes sense, I'm all for. This match, though, I'm sorry. Just go back to my question to you. Since you've been covering Stardom, is this the biggest shocker title change as far as the Red and the Wonder, like the two big belts?
In terms of since me covering, so obviously we're looking at 2020, I would say this is certainly up there. I think Mikuri Wata dethroning Syuri was a pretty big shock. I didn't see that coming at all. I think in terms of the World Championship, I suppose you could argue Tora beating Micah was a bit of a shock, although to be fair, the amount of time they spent advertising Saya Kamitani as the second for that match pretty much it did sort of telegraph that turn. Obviously, the big one for me, I was aware of Stardom. I wasn't covering it. Was when B Priestley beat Kagetsu for the red belt. That was a huge shock. But yeah, this is certainly up there, and mainly because I anticipated Starlight Kid going into. I anticipated her and Saya Kamitani continuing this sort of unspoken rivalry as to which belt is better, basically, and Starlight Kid trying to emulate what Saya's been able to do with the red belt. Again, I would love to know how much the injury to Kid has played into the booking of this, or whether this was always the case.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't want to know. Sometimes I don't want to. Sometimes I don't want to know how the sausage is made. Rob Goodwin. As far as this match goes, maybe Konami's. You never heard that saying? Is that just an American thing?
It's just a really odd thing to say.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to know. I don't want.
No, true. I don't know I don't want to know what goes into it. No,
I'm
you're
good.
right.
I'm good. I like burgers. I know. I understand it's a cow. I don't want to see what happens. I'm good to go. Maybe Konami's best singles match. Like the Arisa match is up there as well. I think this was just a great match from Konami. I like how it starts where Starlight Kid's like going for revenge for what happened 2 days prior. And she gets the advantage on Konami. Konami's like, nope. Pitches Kid to the outside. Hate gets involved a little. And then Starlight Kid's arm gets posted with the chair into the post, which we saw 2 days ago. So they're playing off that. I liked it how up until the finish, how Hate was starting to get involved a little bit, and then Neo Genesis were like, no, absolutely not. And you had a little mini brawl on the outside. So
Which is what I wish we saw more of.
I like that. Like, yeah, Miyu. Obviously, May Sarah, I don't think she was out there because she had the match before, but Miyu and Azumi were like, absolutely not. Yeah, I know we're outnumbered, but we're going to fight here. So I really, really like that. Kid, hitting the outside moonsault, Konami with the kicks, like the strikes, excellent stuff. Really great. You made mention how, like, towards the middle of this match, Starlight Kid couldn't get the leg crusher on all the way because of the arm. She couldn't get the Tiger suplex and the Star suplex because of the arm. But as this is ramping up, eventually Adrenaline takes over. And I like that. I like how, well, they didn't sell the arm enough. And I'm like, They sold in the beginning, but eventually adrenaline takes over, and you're like, I'll worry about the arm later because what's important right now is the belt. And I like that. And again, I don't think it's not no selling. It's just the fact the belt is so important. I'll worry about my arm later. Whenever anybody says, well, that's not realistic, I always say, go on YouTube and type in Don Fry versus Takayama, where they punch each other in the face for real for about 3 minutes. Folks, when you have your adrenaline going and there's something really important on the line, yeah, you know, we did that for like a watch along. I
The
think
manliest man to ever man with those two.
But so that's all what I always go to. But eventually, though, Starlight Kid gets the advantage on Kun, and the pacing of this was great. She hits the Eternal Foe, which she doesn't. She only breaks up for the big matches, and then she hits the Star Suplex. And I'm like, oh, that's the finish. Konami kicks out, not a ref pull, not foot on the rope. Konami kicks out. So I was like, we're really getting Konami over as this is how important this is for her. Konami comes back with some strikes, and we know that Konami does the Ariso Shiki 1399, that switch kick off the top rope. The way the kid snapped her head back and sold it, yikes. That was scary. I watched this match twice. I watched it again just yesterday, and I was like, a lot of that was just kid making sure she snapped her head. Did you see that, how fast that was, Rob? Snapped that head. Yeah, snapped the head to make sure how well she got it. That was really great. Thoroughly enjoyed that. I liked how Starlight Kid misses the moonsault on the first time, but then comes back and hits it on the leg onto Konami, very much like she did in the match with Soriano. By she, I mean Starlight Kid, the Wonder match at Soriano at the Rendezvous show, very much like she did with Tomoka Inaba at the Two of the World show. I like it how she's chaining her big moves to go after the target that she was trying to go for before. Eventually, Starlight Kid hits the leg killer, locks in the leg crusher. I'm like, oh, what a great finish. What a great finish. And then Rena throws in, referee's distracted, and this is very well done. It was well done enough where we can see it, but the refs can't. And again, Walker with the great commentary is like, wait, what's Rena doing? What's Rena doing? Putting heat on Rena, who's really not in the match, throws it into Konami. Now, the first thing you're thinking of, okay, Starlight Kid's going to get sprayed in the face with this. But I'm like, we've seen this a time or two. Triple H was always really good at this because the sledgehammer would get brought in, and then sometimes he'd like get ready to deliver the shot and he wouldn't get it off because like Taker would choke him out or somebody would hit their finish. So like, how cool would this be where like she has the can in the hand and she just either passes out, it's like, I don't care, I can't get it, and I tap out. I thought that would have been really cool, and that's the way they would have went for it. The crowd was really into this match. Once Konami sprays, and I actually bumped it up a quarter star just because of this. Once Konami sprays the gimmick in the spray can into Starlight Kid's face, now the crowd's pissed. Now they're behind Starlight Kid before. They cheered on Konami stuff because Konami's great, but now they're pissed. It's like, you ruined this great match, but not really. It took it to another level. And they're waiting for Starlight Kid to make her comeback. And she gets out of the triangle answer. And she kicks out of this really insane high angle suplex. And Konami just drops Kid right on the top of her head. And every time Kid gets out, the crowd gets hotter and louder, hotter and louder. And then she gets out of it. This was a really great falsie, which I was like, man, if Kid was going to retain, this would have been the perfect finish. She rolls out of the triangle answer and she gets the Momo latch. And I'm like, and the crowd was, as soon as she gets the Momo latch in the middle of the ring, the crowd is 1, 2. Oh, now the crowd is really invested, really, really invested, which is taking my excitement for this match up to another level. Because now you got the crowd. They were on the roller coaster for the whole match. Thought the moonsault to the knee and the leg crusher was going to be the finish. We get some cheating. Now the crowd's pissed off in the right way possible. Now Starlight Kid is coming back from all this onslaught and cheating and almost gets a win with the Momo latch. The crowd would have exploded had that got the fall. Eventually, though, 2 buzzsaw kicks, a punt kick, and then basically an Indian Deathlock version of the triangle answer. Starlight Kid passes out. I had it at 4.5 stars, but because of how hot the crowd was and the right way possible for that finish with the spray, and then Starlight Kid fighting back and almost getting the win, I bumped it up to a quarter star, another quarter of a star. 4 3/4 stars. Another great match in the history that is the Wonder of Stardom Championship.
Now, you're of the opinion that Starlight Kid takes this belt back at Dream Queendom, aren't you?
Yeah, I think her and Hanan, I think they both make sense. I think head you wins, tails you win. I love Konami. I'm with you. I love Konami. I don't think she walks out Queendom as champion.
No,
I think it's 1 of 3 people. Starlight Kid.
To be fair though, Matt, sorry to interrupt you. I didn't think she walked out. I didn't think she walked out of Out of Ward as Wonder of Stardom champion. So
neither did I, but I was like, oh, but I think it's 1 of 3 people. She technically, by she Konami, kayfabe, she injured Hanan and she injured Starlight Kid, right? So you have your revenge thing on there. The Starlight Kid thing is I beat you one, you beat me one. Technically, I never gave up. I passed out. Starlight Kid's the bigger star than Hanan. Or you can make Hanan a bigger star than she already is by having Hanan go after Konami and beat her for the belt. Both scenarios make sense. I just think there's more in the tank for Starlight Kid for a Wonder Run. So that's why I'm going to say Starlight Kid. I do not disagree with y'all, partner. I think the Hanan thing makes sense as well. I think the Starlight Kid just makes a little bit more sense. And the third option, Hazuki. Because why, Rob? Freaking Hazuki. And that maybe
This
makes
is freaking Hazuki.
maybe that makes more sense. Maybe like Hazuki's like, I'm going to challenge you at Dream Queendom, and then everybody online, not everybody, the 10 people that are upset are like, why? That doesn't make any sense. And then like, because it's Hazuki, and that's their trump card. You know, that's your ace in the hole. But I think it's going to be Starlight Kid. But at the same time, the Hanan thing makes sense, and the fact that you can go either one of those and they make sense. And if it's not Starlight Kid, then we build her up for her run to go after Kamitani. Whether she wins or not, I don't know. That's eventually where they're going to go. I don't know if the time's right. I think there's more in the gas tank for a Starlight Kid Wonder run. And I think with her on the shelf a little bit, she heals a little bit. We're anticipating for her to come back. And then she beats Konami here. But the Hanan thing makes sense as well. And then you're going to put Hanan in a bigger light and you make her a bigger star than she already is. To me, it's heads you wins, tails you wins. Love Konami. I just don't think she walks out of the biggest show of the year with the second biggest belt.
Right. I suppose it's time we talk about this main event then. So Saya Kamitani versus Momo Watanabe. Double title match, both the World of Stardom Championship and the New Japan Strong Women's Championship on the line as well. Momo Watanabe, I believe, 7 different attempts at the belt now. Just let me have a look to make sure I've said yes. This will be Momo's 7th attempt at the World of Stardom Championship. Her first since April 2024, losing to Micah. Now, at least on social media, again, you know, I know social media is sort of a vacuum. There are some people that are quite upset with the booking of Momo, and I'm never going to dismiss people's opinion, because I think there are absolutely some things in terms of the booking of the feud up to the match itself, certainly, that people have a right to be upset about. I know that there was obviously a lot of talk about the post-match angle as well, the fact that there wasn't one, and the fact that Momo Watanabe has just sort of fallen back into line and hate, or at least that's the impression anyway. I think the injury has played a part in that. I think you said it when we were talking to each other before recording, Matt, that obviously, you know, you're not going to have Momo do this angle and then go away injured. You know, you do need something to happen instantaneously if she's going to be sticking around. The match itself is really, really good. Really good. I preferred the Wonder match just a little bit more, but I did really enjoy this match. And again, I don't agree that Saya Kamitani's reign has been flat by any stretch of the imagination. I know that that's something that's been sort of put out by a couple of people. And again, you know, not everyone likes the same thing. That's the beauty of pro wrestling. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, as they say. I've thoroughly enjoyed Saya's run, and I continue to enjoy Saya's run. And I know that, you know, again, nationally, her reign has been enjoyed as well. So that's a metric that Stardom will take into account. Do I think we needed to rush the Momo match? No. And I think that's my personal complaint here. I feel like the 5-star victory, which was a really nice moment for fans of Momo Watanabe, it felt like a moment for Momo that she had earned. And again, we don't use it lightly. Deserves. Let's be perfectly honest, it's Momo Watanabe. If anyone has deserved something in the company, it is Momo. But I think for the 5-star win to not ultimately mean anything, and it not to lead to an angle, I think has rubbed people up the wrong way. And I think that's a valid complaint. Again, we don't have the beauty of hindsight. This might again turn into an angle, like you mentioned, at Dream Queendom. Maybe Momo accidentally costs or very nearly costs Saya the match with a bat shot, and then obviously we build towards another match. Again, how much has Momo's need for time off? How much has that played into it? The 5-star Grand Prix also didn't mean much last year because Micah lost to Tam in September and everyone forgot about the match because we were building to Tam and Saya
And that
at
worked out
Dream
well.
Queendom. And that worked out fine. Exactly. I think it's just a case of people had built up that we were having some sort of shift and it didn't come. And I think that coupled with the lackluster build, which there was no build for this match at all, aside from that really quite lame promo at the end of Chiba where I'm going to be your Crimson Nightmare. No, I'm going to be your Crimson Nightmare. Who's that? Oh, it's Alice Cooper.
That's right.
Exactly. I think that was sort of, but I also think that colored a couple of people's opinions of the match itself because I think the match was great. I really enjoyed the match. I also really enjoyed the fact because I was waiting for hate interference. And I was so glad that it didn't happen because it would have made no sense at all. Why would you interfere when the belt is going to stay in your faction, irrelevant of who wins? So don't interfere. And they didn't. They didn't interfere. Overall, 4.25 stars for me. Really enjoyed the match. Think these two had great chemistry. That spot off the apron with the Hurricane Rana was absolutely brutal. But again, I can understand why some people were left a little bit frustrated. But overall, I enjoyed the match. We're getting 2 fantastic matches out of it with Syuri and Saya at Wrestle Kingdom, and then Saya and Syuriano at Dream Queendom. It leads us in a new interesting direction. The pay-per-view itself with Konami as White Belt champion. I'm intrigued more than I am upset or bothered by this. But again, as a fan of Momo Watanabe, where that crowning light just never ever seems to bloody happen, it does seem like another kick in the old groinal area for those fans of Momo. But again, it's an interesting thought.
You're not taking the belt off Saya Kamitani.
Oh God, no, and no, absolutely not. And I don't think there was many people who actually believed that they were taking the belt off. All of the metrics we talked about earlier in the episode, you ain't taking that belt off Saya. I'd be amazed if they take that belt off Saya before at the very, very earliest All-Star Grand Queendom. I'd be amazed if by the end of this reign, Saya hasn't gone past Io in terms of defenses. It wouldn't surprise me if she hasn't gone past Nanae in terms of days as champion. Because, as you said perfectly, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I think it was the fact that it was just a title defense and there wasn't anything more.
Not yet.
Exactly.
Not yet, Rob.
That's why I said 2020 vision. That's why I said.
Not yet, because the story's clearly not done. Momo got on the microphone and said, I need to go away for a little bit to heal these injuries, and I'm not going away until I take that belt off. So she left that there. The old Jim Cornette saying, how can I miss you if you don't go away? Momo going away, maybe not coming back until Dream Queendom, maybe unannounced. And when she comes back, people will be like, oh, I think Saya is going to retain against Soriano. I think that's pretty much a given. The match will, slightly be above average because those two are somewhat okay at wrestling. I think that's where you do the angle because people are like, they didn't do the angle here. There's 2,400 people here on the show that Stardom Crimson Nightmare. They've never done this show before. They're going to do it the biggest show at the end of the year. More eyes, more people. Momo's gone away for 5, 6, 7 weeks, however long this is. And then Momo comes back unannounced. And that's how you leave Dream Queendom. You don't leave it with Saya again 2 years in a row standing tall. Again, she'll be champion, don't get me wrong, but you leave it with either Momo laying her out or Momo in a different gear, Momo with some different stuff. Rob, Momo Watanabe hit Saya Kamitani with a white baseball bat. I don't know if she's ever used a white baseball bat before. It's the symbolism of black is always the heel, is always for the old Western movies, which my grandfather watches a ton of. that black is the villain and white is the hero.
Mm.
We've seen, and again, look at the picture. It's all the pictures have had in the middle of the Doctor Strange Eye of our thing there. It's always been the
It is
black
very
baseball
Doctor
bat.
Strange, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I'm a big fan of Doctor Strange. But why she came out with a white baseball bat, and it was the white baseball bat that she hit on Saya twice. Really weird, not unless it was like she just forgot her baseball bat and that was the only one they could find at
To the
the doc.
wild.
Yeah, maybe, and that's the only thing I could think of. But there's symbolism there. There's symbolism on the fact she didn't hit Mayu with the bat at historic crossover last year. Symbolism in the fact that she made sure that Azusa and I believe it was Ruaka didn't
Yeah.
touch Azumi in their championship match. There's a lot of things being put into place. I understand people were just, and there were some people that were like, Momo didn't win. This match was terrible. I'm like, that has nothing to do with it. Like, if you honestly thought Momo was going to win the belt here, maybe sometime next year, maybe we get her hotter in a different thing where she's part of her own faction. Which, if that's the case, please bring back Queen's Quest. Maybe again with
Not
F.
happening, bro.
Hey, relax. I'm a dreamer, as Ozzy says. Dream my life away. But where she does the face turn, you do it at the end at All-Star Grand or at Dream Queendom because nobody's going to see it coming. Especially the fact that Momo's injured, she's gone, she's taking time off. And what if we don't, she's really not on social media. Nobody really says her name, maybe in passing. And then at the end, all of a sudden, Saya Kamitani reigns supreme. She cuts a heel promo, and all of a sudden, here comes Momo, and she basically makes it look like, oh, hey, Momo's back, and she kicks Saya Kamitani in the head and holds the belt over her head, and that's how we end it. It's the biggest show at the end of the year, and then I think if that happens, which I think is a good shout, people are like, oh, that's why. Let's wait for the rest of the story.
Mm.
Let's wait for the rest of the story. So again, I understand people's criticisms on, hey, this match wasn't built up the way it should have been. I get that. Match was freaking great. Rob, I'll get away.
Match is really good.
I'll get away the one negative right out the gate. I mentioned this on Grant when we did our Marigold review. I mentioned that. Kamitani hits the Star Crusher, not a power slam, not a body slam. She hits the Star Crusher, and Momo rolls all the way through. I was like, oh, come on, man. And again, everybody's guilty. I'd say right now, Rob, 5 stars. This was great. This is another great match in the catalog of Saya Kamitani. Probably Momo's best match this year, other than the Izumi final from the 5 star. Even the Syuri matches, I really, really enjoyed it. And again, I totally agree with you. We thought that when we did our review, like, there's going to be shenanigans one way or another. And then there wasn't any. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense, because not unless they were going to kick Momo out or they were going to kick Saya out, why would the one faction, some of the factions cheat for the other? The only really cheating was Momo twice with the baseball bat on Saya Kamitani. Once, and again, Saya is such a freakish athlete. Like, she goes for that springboard plancha to the floor. As she's midair, she sees that Momo isn't where Momo's going to duck. So she changes direction in midair and she lands on the apron. And as soon as she lands on the apron, Momo's like, psych, and hits her in the knee with the bat. I thought that was great. And then we get the B driver on the apron, and then that snap hurricanrana off the apron. Like, even the start, I'm not getting ahead of myself. The start where they're going so fast, and Saya, very much like Azumi, is like a cheat code. Like, just the way she gets ducks and out of things, and the fact that, like, she's keeping constant eye contact with Momo, where it's like, haha, you can't hit me. You can't hit me. Momo was like, oh, yeah? Wait till I do. And then some of these strikes, like these kicks to Saya, and Saya is such a great seller. Like, she's not overly selling like Shawn and Hogan at that SummerSlam match. She's properly selling to making sure, like, these kicks are really something. And then we get some headbutt exchanges and some forearm exchanges. And there's one part where we haven't seen Momo do this in quite some time, Rob. When she was Wonder of Stardom champion and when she was the leader of Queen's Quest from like 2018 until she left to go to she turned heel and went to a Uedo Tai, she would always hit that combination of the Samatos, the one to the front, the one to the back, the one off the second rope, the one off the top rope. She was chaining those Samatos like babyface Momo Watanabe. I'm like, seen that somewhere before, Rob. I've seen her some of that somewhere. So maybe that's more symbolism as well. So I really enjoyed that. Then there's the one part Momo goes to the top rope. They go to the top rope, Samato. Sai Kamitani just comes running off and hits a snap Rana. I'm like, just like on another level. Like, Sai Kamitani is just so good. Like, what an insane athlete. And the fact that Momo did this match with a bum knee and a bum heel goes to show you just how just great one Saya Kamitani is. Yeah, just excellent stuff there. Momo blocks the Star Crusher, and that's where Momo's able to come back with the baseball bat again twice with the white baseball bat. Symbolism there. I don't know. We shall see. Saya Kamitani is able to, she lands on her feet on the tequila sunrise. She hits that 3-kick combo that she does, the spin kick to the head and the 360 kick, and then the kike-goye, which is what pinned Tam a few months ago in Cork and Hall. That only scores her a 2 count. Saya Kamitani hits the Star Crusher, and Momo Watanabe rolls through. She hits the bastard driver, then hits an insane pump kick, and then hits the tequila sunrise into the peach sunrise. That scores her a 2.9 count. I thought that was great. Momo Watanabe goes for Peach Thunder, which we know Momo doesn't do that often, but she did it on Azumi to win the 5-star Grand Prix. Not only does Saya get out, but she baits Momo into throwing the head kick. And when she does, she hits the Peach Sunrise on the Momo, hangs on, and hits the 360 Star Crusher. This was a great match, despite that one spot. Really great symbolism, but I like how Saya was able to bait Momo into throwing that head kick. So she uses Momo's own move against her because why? We're in the same faction today, and we were in the same faction a few years ago. I know you, Momo, and I'm playing head games with you towards the end of this match. Momo, you've been a lot of these big matches before, but you never won them for the red belt. I have. And when push comes to shove, when the time is right, I know what I need to do to win said matches, and I did it here to you. 360 Star Crusher for the 3 count. This another 5-star match in the catalog that is Saya Kamitani. Probably my top maybe 15 matches I've seen all year. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I get it. You have the post-match promo, which we talked about before. But Momo, she did say there was an angle. Momo did say, I'm coming back for that belt. Momo leaves, and then we get the 2 matches that set up. So I was thoroughly impressed with this match. I thought the whole show was great. I'm glad that we're getting Anu versus Saya. I'm glad that we're getting Syuri versus Saya. But again, Rob, I think something's going to happen at Dream Queendom because they've been planting the seeds for this, and everyone thought it was going to happen here. But if it makes sense, like we're going to get more mileage out of it if we do it in Sumo Hall in front of 4,000 people, more people watching on pay-per-view than we do it at Crimson Nightmare in Oda Ward. 24 people, 100 people here, more than 4,000 are probably going to go to Sumo Hall. So I think they realize we get more mileage out of it, and we give Momo time to heal and come back and do it. So this way there's more anticipation for it. I think that's what's going to happen. Now, if it doesn't happen at Sumo Hall, another discussion, but that's kind of, and to me, it makes sense. To me, what I laid out makes sense. So again, we shall see, good sir.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there is more to be said for this story, certainly. And again, that's why I said we don't have the power of hindsight whilst we're talking about this. So that's why I pointed that out. My only sort of thing about something happening at Dream Queendom is that if then Momo returns, you assume that she is going to challenge again at either All-Star Grand Queendom or Supreme Fight. Saya's not dropping that belt, which means that Momo then loses again. And I think at that point, Momo's character's done. If she turns face or, they kick Saya out of hate or whatever is the angle, and then Momo just loses again, I think that leaves very little credibility in Momo in terms of a red belt challenger, because she's already won the 5-star, has cashed in and lost, kicked Saya out of hate or turned face or whatever, then lost again within the space of 2 or 3 months. I think that would be a very different conversation as well.
Rob, I know we're at the end of this episode. Do you think this is an amazing episode that we're having?
Yes. Why?
Okay, no, because Amber asked me when I was going to be done, and I always tell her time, and she always adds time on. It's been over an hour from when I thought we were going to be done. She just texts me, and she's like, "I know that you're running late. I forgive you, but you guys better be having an amazing episode." And I think we are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we are. So I'm forgiven. So yeah, we can keep going for another hour.
We've wrapped it up. It's fine. It's wrapped it up. Yeah. So sort of in conclusion, just to this match and this pay-per-view, I know that there were quite a lot of mixed, and again, it's different for a Western audience than it is for a Japanese audience. And again, Saya's still doing gangbuster numbers, and I thoroughly enjoyed this show. I'm just going to say I thoroughly enjoyed this show. Did I see the Konami win coming? Absolutely not.
Great match, though.
Great match. My favorite match of the night. Hazuki versus Meisera was great. Bozilla and Saki Kashima was really quite fun.
Different.
This main event was a great match. A really, really, really good match. And I think, again, we just need to wait and see what happens. This is a B-level pay-per-view. In Stardom canon, this is a B-level pay-per-view. Let's see what happens after Dream Queendom, and then we can have another conversation. Absolutely. Will we have things sort of built towards All-Star Grand Queendom? We will see. But that does bring to the end our episode, sort of our review, I apologize, of Crimson Nightmare. Don't forget that, of course, at the time of this dropping, the Goddess of Stardom Tag League will indeed be in full swing. Just a reminder, 8 matches, all 16 teams in action on the 7th. Just a reminder, Miku Kanai and Syuri versus FWC, or the Mexican Luchadoras. Let's not forget that. We have also got no, that's not right at all.
That graphic's really weird because they keep changing it. I think it's supposed to be Syuri Poi versus may or may not FWC.
Yeah, it is. It's Syuri Poi versus. Right, I was looking at the wrong thing. That's why. Sorry, please ignore me. It's very late here. BMI 2000 versus Hina and Rani Agami. Syuri Poi versus what was FWC is now the Mexican Luchadoras. We have got Yuna Mizumori and Meisera versus Sari and Miku Kanai. We've also got Syuri and Saki Kashima versus Suzu and Rina. We've got Saya and B versus Suzumi and Miyu, and Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora versus Konami and Rina. Matt Turner, before we go anywhere, it's time for Io and Kairi watch.
This was really interesting, and Io was still in Japan. I mean, if you look at her social media, she was having the time of her life, so good on her. So we get Kairi and Asuka. They have a scheduled match against Bailey and Lila Valkyria. I'm like, oh, this is going to be really good because all 4 of them are really great wrestlers. However, Rav, we're going to throw a little more craziness that is into this story going on. Becky Lynch, who is the Intercontinental Champion, is cutting a hellacious promo, really great promo. As she's leaving, Kairi and Asuka come out for their match. So I'm like, and they have the camera shot going above Bailey's shoulder. I'm like, clearly they're doing this for a reason. And then she has a stare down. By she, I mean Becky has a stare down with Asuka and Kairi. Don't know where they're going there. Very interesting that we're adding Bailey into this, or we're adding Becky into this story with the Kabuki Warriors, which is the story with Io, Rhea, and now Bailey. So, and now Lila Valkyria, because she's teaming with Bailey. So not only are we adding more fuel to the fire, we're adding more characters and great characters. It's not like some of these wrestlers that really aren't that good. Obviously, Becky's one of the biggest women's stars ever. Bailey's great. So we're adding more great stuff into this story. Speaking of story, Rob, so now we have the match. This was a really great match. Again, it's the Kabuki Warriors, Kairi and Asuka taking on Bailey and Lila Valkyria. Asuka opens up with some kicks onto Lila Valkyria. Lila gets the advantage with a leg sweep and a basement drop kick that sends the Kabuki Warriors out to the floor, where Lila Valkyria hits a dive. Back into the ring we go. I'm sorry, she hits a dive, but before we go back in the ring, Asuka hits a head kick and a German suplex onto the floor. Yes, as if this is a Stardom match. So yeah, so Lila Valkyria taking German suplexes on the floor because why not? We go back into the ring, and obviously that leads heat onto Lila Valkyria. Eventually, she hits a head scissors, hot tag into Bailey. Bailey comes in and she runs a house of fire on Asuka and Kairi. Bailey hits the Bailey to belly onto Kairi. That scores Bailey a 2 count, and then Bailey hits a sunset flip that sends Kairi head first, yet safely, into the turnbuckle. Lila Valkyria, she tags in and she hits a huge top rope leg drop to Kairi. That scores Lila a 2 count. Kairi and Lila Valkyria are on the top rope. We have a top rope fight that Kairi wins, and I'm begging for Corey Graves, whoever the announcers are, to call this move right, because they never do. It's not a top rope double stomp. It's the Marine Spike. Kairi hits the Marine Spike onto Lila Valkyria. That scores her a 2 count. Rob Gowen, we mentioned them earlier. I'm going to mention them again. Bailey and Lila Valkyria, they hit the demolition decapitation. Shouts out to demolition onto Kairi. So all for that. That scores the babyface a 2 count. We get a great strike exchange between Bailey and Kairi. But if you've seen a Kairi match before, you know it's not going to end well for Bailey. Kairi wins said strike exchange with the cutlass, and she properly nails Bailey with that, which I really like that. Asuka sends Lila Valkyria crashing into Bailey, and that opens up the door for Asuka to lock in the Asuka lock tapping out Lila Valkyria. After the match, it does look like that Kyrie and Asuka are going to put the boots to Lila Valkyria. However, the save is made by Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, who are the tag champions. So we're definitely building to a Charlotte and Alexa versus Asuka and Kyrie match, which I am super excited for. Really great match. If you have the time, definitely go out of your way to see it. Excellent stuff. And very interesting to see what they're going to do with Becky Lynch in this story, and Bayley as well.
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We have reached the promised land of the end of this episode. Matt is going to be in a lot of trouble with his wife because
she said it was okay. She said it was okay. She said it's okay. She's a sweetheart. She knows the deal.
Is lovely.
She knows I still don't know what she's doing with me, but whatever.
We're all thinking the same thing, bro. Don't worry. Ladies and gentlemen, that does bring us to the end of this episode. We hope you have enjoyed it. Don't forget, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We are literally everywhere. Patreon.com/the Stardom Cast, where you can get all these episodes early and ad-free for as little as $1 a month, as well as all of our archived episodes, show reviews, show previews, and all of that good stuff as well. You can find us on social media at the Stardom Cast, apart from on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky, where we are Talk Joshi. You can find me on Twitter at Real Rob Goodwin. Mr. Matt Turner, please sign us off, good sir.
Folks, questions, comments, suggestions. I'm easy to get a hold of. The Twitter and the Instagram, Matt Turner OF, is the best, easiest, and fastest way to get a hold of me. Don't forget to follow our new Twitter page at TalkJoshi 2025 as well. Or if you can shoot me an email, that's perfectly fine. The email address is thestardomcast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another fantastic edition of the Stardom Cast. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do it without you. It's like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast. Because we're all together. Everybody's different. Everybody's special.